I figured it out. I figured it out. Yay! Oh my god. Oh my god. All right, let me just let everybody know that I figured it out. Oh my goodness. Let me just...
What am I supposed to do? And I'm mad.
You guys all got to see me like be super angry New Yorker on for... Well, I mean, you guys already have seen me on my live streams be super angry, but... Let me just quickly be like, I figured it out. Yay. Do you know what it is? Do you know what I had to do? I had to there was a little scroll bar at the bottom and I had to scroll it over. That was all I had to do. But that was the first time it ever was like that, so I'm not used to having to do that. So I was just like, what's happening? Live on YouTube. Okay. Like I wasn't freaking out enough having to read my prayer. Okay. No. Okay. Yeah, it was like a tiny little scroll bar on the bottom, and I only figured it out just because I clicked over there just to see if that did anything, and then I saw the thing move, and I was like, oh my god, oh, I just have to scroll it over. Well, it worked. Yeah, no, you're not late. We literally just started because of YouTube tomfoolery and me being a bit of a dum-dum, so... Oh my goodness. I know. I'm so glad this worked out because I was like, no, I don't want to go to Instagram. Yeah. Exactly, Ella. Hermes, you know what probably happened? Apollo probably was like, yo, Hermes, Jess banned me from the live stream, so go fuck it up. Are you okay still being mod, Zoe? Because I actually was hoping that they were mods here, considering I'm going to be doing prayers and stuff that I won't be able to pay attention. Okay, so happy Aphrodite April, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well despite all the crazy. Okay, good. Thank you. Hope everybody is managing, staying sane. Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness. Okay, so yeah. Oh my goodness. I know, I'm so excited too. I'm so excited. April has become one of my favorite months just because it's Aphrodite's sacred month. Okay. So, I have my prayer. I wrote it myself, so I'm sorry. You can feel free to, do whatever you want or whatever you can. If you want to have something lit, I have a candle lit. Or if you just want to sit there and just kind of think about Aphrodite, that's fine too. Whatever it is that makes you feel comfortable and you happy, makes you feel connected to Aphrodite, or whatever you're able to do, because some of you aren't necessarily in a place where you could do that. So, all right. So, I'm a little nervous. Get into the space. Okay. Golden Aphrodite, she who strutted naked on the shores of Cyprus, born of sea foam, blood, and vengeance, we humbly ask for your attention. Today, on your sacred day, in your sacred month, we gather together to show our collective gratitude, you who is the shining light in many of our lives. our beloved Aphrodite. We thank you. We thank you as individuals for shaping and blessing each of our mortal lives. And we thank you as a group for bringing us together here and now so we can find comfort and joy in our community during these difficult times. Our Divine Lady, who rages through the battlefields, who laughs and dances with the flowers, who walks barefoot through the underworld, and who calls the sea, the sky, and the earth her home. We ask only this of you. Keep us close, close to you, close to your heart, where the source of all love flows. Keep us with you, and with bowed heads, we will surrender to love, your love, and the love of the gods. Praise Heavenly Aphrodite. And with that, I want to dedicate this live stream to Aphrodite. And if you are all okay with it, I would like to ask her to bless all of you and keep you all safe and well loved. Okay? Thank you. So we feel ready to talk about Aphrodite. Hi, Dag. Oh, thank you. Hopefully it'll be better ones as we go along, because that one kind of I wrote pretty. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Juliet. Thank you. Oh, thank you, everybody. Me too, Zoe. Always ready to talk about Aphrodite. Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm hoping like everyone just feels good. You know, figured the first one have a nice little small one, and maybe, you know, the other ones will be a little longer and in depth. But okay, that was a good start. Oh, really, Ella? Oh, she's here. Aphrodite is with us right now. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Ayla. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. I was nervous. Even though I was excited, I was also nervous. The gods saw me as I'm sitting at my altar like, this is terrible. They're gonna hate it. And they're like, would you just keep writing? Yeah, I think she is with us. She's definitely with us. So, I figured a good place to start in discussion. Of course, if you guys have anything you want to talk about, please bring to the table. I figured, oh, Julia, thank you so much. It always is like when people like compare me to a priestess. It's like my favorite thing ever. I'm like, oh God. No, actually, before I want to announce something actually before we go into a discussion, just so I don't forget, and I think it's really cool. So I'm going to send the link so you guys can see it. But Power Priestess on Tumblr is doing this really cool live stream series for Aphrodite in honor of Aphrodite April. And it's really, it looks so good. And what's also really exciting is I will be participating in it. Next Saturday on the 11th, I'm going to be doing a discussion with her. And it's going to be all about Aphrodite, specifically about like my relationship with her and just what worshiping her is like, and basically any questions that she or the group may have. There's Courtney. Thank you again for inviting me to do it. I'm so excited. I love talking about Aphrodite. So I was very honored to get the invitation. But yeah, but not even just my part in it, everything looks really great. So, oh, thank you. I've been actually rewatching My Little Pony because of the quarantine. But getting distracted by the ponies. Yeah, it looks, I'm really excited for all of it. So definitely check it out. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited, Courtney. I really am. It was like when I got your message, I was like, oh my God, someone wants to talk to me about Aphrodite. Yay! I could do this always. I'm like Steve Rogers. I could do this all day. So yeah, definitely check it out. Not even just the day that I'm going to be on there. Check out all the stuff because it looks really good. There's like a guided meditation and just learning about her and everything. It's going to be great. So support all the Aphrodite content and those creating the Aphrodite content. Oh, that's wonderful, Ella. Congratulations. I love that. Okay, so I figured a good place to start with the discussion is actually to kind of talk a little bit about Aphrodite April and the stuff that you can do, the stuff that I'm doing, the stuff that you can do. You guys can share what you're planning on doing. I think that's a good place to start, considering it is the beginning of the month. So if anybody who's joining in doesn't really, they want to participate in Aphrodite April, but have no idea what to do, or, all that, figured we can brainstorm and share what we're doing to help other people. So for me, of course, being the platform I have, it's really important for me to put out information and content about Aphrodite. So that's a big part of how I'm going to be honoring her this month and celebrating her, is finally gonna update the podcast. Woo! It's finally gonna happen. And Aphrodite is gonna get, I think I'm gonna split a lot of stuff into different episodes instead of doing like one big one, because there is so much there's so much to unpack with her. Like, it blows my mind every time I pick up something new, something new to read. It has something in there that I'm like, I didn't know that. What? She's like, one thing I was talking about is how she's got her hand in politics too. And I'm like, I didn't know about this, about politics too. I'm kind of getting the idea that Aphrodite pretty much has her hands in every realm, in every aspect of everything. And I kind of really want to showcase that. So for me, that's the theme of the month, is really me discovering how diverse she is and just how complex she is, and also sharing it with all of you, so that you can also see that she's so much more than just a love goddess. So yeah, I'm thinking I'm gonna have it, because I think the first episode I'm gonna do is more of like a general one about her. And then I think I'm gonna get into like talking about her war aspect and her death aspect and all these other ones that I've been learning about with her, especially like looking at her epithets. I finally sat down and worked in my devotional journal and was like writing down and researching epithets, and holy crap, she's got so many that just is like all over the place, where you're like, it just blows my mind. I'm like, there's always something new to discover with her. And that's one of the reasons I love her so much, is because I feel like no matter what, till the day I die, I don't think I'll have known everything there is to know about her. Like it's just always something new. This stream probably will go on for a while. I kept saying it's not going to go on that long because we're only going to talk about Aphrodite. And I'm like, that, or her sphere of influence. And I'm like, her sphere of influence is very gigantic. Yeah, she's definitely not just a simple love goddess. Yeah, it is usually a minimum of 3 hours. So yeah, so I'm definitely gonna have that, and then now we have the live streams. I think what I'm going to try and do is have the podcast uploaded before the live streams. That way, if we want to talk about anything, that you guys have a chance to listen to it, and then we can talk about all this, go into maybe more depth, or just if you have any questions about like what I talked about. I think that would be a really good idea to do that. I always love hearing like what people were doing while they were listening to my podcast, or when people say they listen to it multiple times. I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah, so that's when I'm looking to have it today, but I may try and do it at like a day, by Wednesday or something, just so that, or maybe I'll do it Tuesday, because Tuesday's sacred to Aries, so that's kind of like, in honor of Aphrodite's boo. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to be. That and the live streams are kind of, and then a lot of people on Tumblr and now even Instagram are doing 30 days of Aphrodite. I have the 30 days of Aphrodite challenge. A lot of people are doing that. I'm kind of like popping in and out of it because I've done it before, but I was thinking about actually doing some now that like my relationship with her has kind of evolved and changed, that it would be interesting to do it now and see how. Oh, well, yeah. Well, that's good, Ella. At least they're on the same time as you. Is everyone experiencing lag? Because I know my internet has been like a pain in the butt. Yeah, and I have the same problem with mine. My brother eats up all the internet because he's got like everything going at once. And then I have stuff going, so it's likely it could be my internet too. But I think it sorts itself out eventually, because I know some people experience lag in the beginning and then it's fine. Okay. Yeah, so the 30 days of Aphrodite challenge, there's that a lot of people are doing, that you could do if you want, even though it's only day 3. So if you want to do that, you could do that. The big thing that I'm doing also, because Aphrodite was very clear with me because I was doing readings with her. My brother is obsessed with Miku Hatsune. Obsessed. He's got the game going all the time, and just the songs are constantly playing. I could post it on Tumblr. I definitely could. I love the 30 days of Aphrodite challenge. Is like fantastic. It's like such a great way to slowly kind of like bond with Aphrodite and get to know her a little bit more, especially for those just starting out. You could also, someone had actually asked me if they could take the challenge and rework it and use it for Hermes. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. So if you want to ever use that challenge as like a prompt for other deities, go right ahead. I don't have one for I don't have one for all of them, but yeah, the 30-day technically the 30-day challenge can be used for any deity. I think the only things that are really is because I have it planned just for April, where I have the days match up with the new moon and the full moon. but you can always just change that around to fit the month, or just take those out completely if you want. Yeah, I've seen those. Apollo doesn't have a month, but if I was giving him a month, it'd be July probably. Wait, we weren't supposed to talk about Apollo. Damn it. You just snuck in here. Oh man, I love him so much. Okay, back to Aphrodite. So this always happens. He snuck in. He put on a disguise and he came in. He's like, they'll never know it's me. Oh my goodness. I can't with him. But Aphrodite was really, because I have a problem, and I spoke about this actually with Yunan recently, is I have a problem of balancing like the stuff that I do for myself and the stuff that I do for the community. Like I'm always like, I need to do more. And I was kind of like scrambling, trying to figure out other things to do like with the community and for the community on Aphrodite April. And Aphrodite literally like with the tarot cards was just like, no, stop. Like you are doing more than enough. You need to enjoy Aphrodite April for you also, like, and for us, you know, like for me and her, that I have to make sure I have time to do the stuff that I want to do for myself and for my relationship with her. So did he put on a disguise? You know, Aphrodite never does that. Like she never seems to like, which is weird because I'd imagine that she would be very much like payback's a bitch, huh? But like she usually just kind of sits there like this is like she's used to it. Like she's just like whatever. So the one thing that I'm really focusing on, and that is a really good thing to do that anybody wants to do for this month, is working in my devotional journal every single day. I made that kind of promise that every single day I would work in the devotional journal in some way. Here you can see that's actually where I have my prayer. This is my devotional journal. I love it. And you can see I love how I did the inside. But what was I saying? I'm dedicating this month to working in it every single day. But the thing is that guys are distracting me. What is Oh, I'm sorry, Allison. Yeah, I hope that this stream can help you feel more connected to her, or at least you can get some ideas on how to connect with her. What? What? Ella, what? There are some weird people on the internet, that's for sure. Yeah, that is a hard yikes. Well, the good thing, well, firstly, I hope you feel better, Elizabeth. I'm very sorry that you don't feel well. But the good thing is that with Aphrodite April, one of the big things that Aphrodite represents is self-love and self-care, like taking care of yourself and everything. That's very part of, it's kind of why it's actually almost a really good time with everything going on, considering, you know, we really need to be taking care of ourselves with, you know, just also just making sure that we stay healthy and everything, both physically and mentally, and that we keep everyone else around us healthy and all, and you know, all that stuff. So it's kind of a really perfect time for Aphrodite's energy and all that. So there are a lot of like ways, in a way, like you just taking the time to rest and relax and taking care of yourself is actually part of, you know, connecting with Aphrodite and using her energies. Yeah, I never trust anybody who, like, I mean, I know the gods aren't, we've had discussions about how the gods aren't all sunshines and roses, but they're also not that cruel and that petty and that, you know, they're not. No, there's no harm in not doing it. Don't worry, Raquel. There's nothing you don't, you can do whatever with the 30-day challenge. You do what days you want to do. It's not at all or nothing kind of deal. It's just you do what you want and feel called to do. The ritual is much more of just to, and I didn't clarify it when I updated it, but the ritual for day 2 is supposed to be done on the full moon, which is the 7th, I believe. And so I just wanted to give people time to be able to put something together or decide what they wanted to do. So ultimately, like what you prepare to do as a ritual can be whatever you want it to be. I've had a lot of people ask me like, oh, is this okay to do? Is it, or, you know, because I don't have the energy to do any more than that. And like, you do whatever you want to do. What a ritual is whatever you decide it is. A ritual doesn't need to be like that, like the stereotypical, like grand thing with all these candles lit and, you know, you made like a whole feast and you're in robes and, you know, you do all this incantation and you sit in meditation for an hour and, you know, like ain't nobody got time for that. I don't do half of that at all. My rituals are very, anything elaborate I do, I save for very, very, very special occasions. And even then, they're really not that grand. I don't think. But, you know, a ritual is whatever you decide it is. I think one of my favorite things is my favorite quotes I ever got from a witch was watching, if you don't already subscribe to her, definitely, especially if you're a witch, Her Speak or Molly Roberts. It was specifically talking about grimoires, but I think it really applies to many things. The idea that nothing has meaning until you give it meaning. So that's kind of the idea. And it's, you know, same thing with rituals. You know, if it's something small, but you give it meaning, then that's more special than a great big elaborate thing that you don't feel connected to at all, so it has no meaning. Oh yeah. Yeah, that stuff makes me so uncomfortable. Never ever never listen to anybody who acts like they're the mouthpiece for the gods. Yeah, that's why I'm always very careful to not ever appear that way. Like I'm saying, this is how Aphrodite feels. I'm always like, I don't know. People tell me all they want me to tell them how Aphrodite feels. They want to know. They're like, is this a sign? What does Aphrodite mean by this? What is the gods? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm flattered that you think I have any idea what they're thinking or what they want, but I have no idea. Yeah, like it's all little things matter just as much. It's all about what you put into it. I think I had a quote like that somewhere. Wait. I do. I think I had a quote. Yeah, I wrote down this quote that's kind of very similar to what we're talking about. It's from the book Psychic Witch. So he's specifically talking about witchcraft, but I think it applies to anything, where it's all depends on the level of work that they've put into their path and practice and how much of their heart is in it. That's really what matters. It's what you put into it, and that's what the gods care about more. They don't, if you can do and you decide to do something elaborate, of course they're appreciative, but showing your heart and being thoughtful, they care about way more. Yeah, I wouldn't put her username in there, especially if she's underage. Oh, thank you. That's a possibility too. Yeah, Ayla, I'm the same way. I will run out of energy halfway through most of the time. I just do not have the spoons to do elaborate rituals or even the attention span. I have a really bad attention span. My brain is always going in like a million different directions. So, yeah, I do too, Juliet. Everything I do, I pretty much craft myself. Like I actually looked to see if there was just a prayer for Aphrodite that I could just read. And I just was like, but none of this fits with, I feel like, we need right now and what we're talking about and our situation. So I was just like, oh, looks like I'm writing it myself. Because I'm always writing my own stuff. We do, Ayla. We like pretty much, no wonder people think we're the same person. We kind of are the same person. Yeah. It's just like it all comes down to what you want to do and what you have the energy to do. I think that's just the big takeaway here is like you can do whatever it is that works for you. There really isn't this is how it should and needs to be done. And I think that's like the big misconception about all of this is people really seem to think that everything has to be done a certain specific way, which makes sense because a lot of religions that we're influenced by are like that, and people do put that that notion out there that that this is the only way to do it, and if you do it any other way, then you're being disrespectful or you're committing hubris and whatever. But that's not the case at all. It's ultimately like you can do whatever it is that works for you. No, it is not a uniform religion at all. Oh, Ayla, you stop it. It's a compliment to me. Yeah, exactly, Chibi Mania. Exactly. There was different ways that they did stuff in Greece too, because all the different city states, and then even as time went on, things evolved with the time period also. So if it evolved in ancient Greece, why can't it evolve now? I think also too, a lot of it, and this is why I try to be very patient with people who are really thinking that things have to be done a certain way, or who don't realize that they're open to do whatever they want to do, is because I know how I get, where trying to think of how to word this. I sometimes, because of my anxiety and because of my issues with myself, I tend to just be like, just somebody tell me what to do so I do it right and correctly. And I can't trust myself to do it or to pretend like I know how to do it. I need somebody else to tell me because I trust them more than I trust myself. You know what I mean? Like, I get like that with a lot of things. And I think a lot of people are like that too. I've noticed I've kind of see a lot of my own anxieties and issues in a lot of people that come to me to, ask questions or to run things by me. I'm like, oh, I can understand like where this is coming from. It's more than just, it's not really fully about religion. It's about our, how we handle and deal with ourselves, how we see ourselves, our anxieties, other mental illnesses that we have, and things like that. Ooh. Awesome, Jay. Rock that dress. I'm in a dress too. Yes. Are we talking about the what did I miss? Yeah, exactly. That too. They don't want to do anything wrong or offend any of the gods, especially like, I think when they start out, they're thinking too, like what they know of the gods is the mythology, and the mythology very much puts the fear of the gods in you. They're like, if you fuck up, this is what's gonna happen. Like, they're gonna fuck you up. Yeah. And it's, even though that's not we know that that's not the case at all. What? Oh, that's what you guys are talking about. I'm part of one of the subreddits. I don't really read it though. I don't really pay attention. But they said you shouldn't worship Hades. No, you worship Hades. Hades is the best. You don't have to get dressed up, Juliet. You're gorgeous no matter what you're wearing. Yeah, you can worship whoever you want to worship. People are worshiping like them like not like, well, they were essentially deified at some point, but even the mythical, the heroes, mythical people worship Alexander the Great. Thank you, Daniel. We try to spread Aphrodite's vibes and her message. I need to get back into amino. I have an amino, and I think I'm part of the Hellenistic polytheism group on amino, but I'm never on there. Patroclus and Achilles. Oh, thank you. I love it. Everyone has to tell me, no, you're part of the amino. I'm okay, thank you. I feel like a parent in that moment, because you ever have it like your parents completely forget something, you'd be like, no, you did the thing, and they're like, oh, okay, thanks. Because you're getting old and you keep forgetting. Mm-hmm. All right, so is there anything you guys want, any questions you have about Aphrodite, or anything you want to talk about specifically? Or what are you guys doing? Any plans for Aphrodite April? Like I said, you can work in a devotional journal for her. You could just plan on doing small things for her every day. Well, thank you, Allison. We try. Oh, music. I have like a whole, I actually finally put my playlists on Spotify because I think they're easier to share and more people have Spotify than, because I usually use Apple Music, but I finally started moving my devotional playlist to Spotify so that I could share it with people. Yeah, Lana Del Rey. I mean, that was the problem. Let me tell you, I was just like, I want to put every Lana Del Rey song. How do I only pick a few? Well, there's eventually going to be a Lana Del Rey conversation. It is Aphrodite April, okay? Yes, Juliet, you should totally do a bath ritual. I was joking with my friend where I was like, I'm sad that I can't use my bath, but it's probably a good thing because I'd probably be spending so much money on bath bombs because I'd be like, well, I'm home and it's April. I guess that means I have to have a bath every single day. Okay, so what kind of things do you do in your devotional journal? Good question. So for me, one of my biggest issues, and I know a lot of you are going to understand and relate and are probably going through this, I struggle so much keeping any kind of like books, like a grimoire and a devotional journals, for whether it be for my whole religion or just a deity, because of my perfectionism. I always feel like things have to be done a certain way. They have to look a certain way. And if it's not going to look like that or be like that, then there's no point in doing it. Like, that's, my brain says that about everything, but especially stuff like this. So I've always struggled for a while to actually keep a devotional journal for Aphrodite. I've always like a kind of come and go thing because I would get frustrated because it didn't look like other people's or didn't look like what I thought it should look like. And finally, I decided that I'm not going to do that anymore, that it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to look a certain way. What it needs to be is functional. That's what it needs. It doesn't need, the aesthetics don't matter. You know, it needs to, what I want it to be is to be a journal that holds everything about Aphrodite and my relationship with her. That's what it needs to be. And if it's full of, you know, me crossing things out and making mistakes, or if I have to stick like Post-its and stuff because there's not enough room to fit the stuff, information that I need, then that's the way it's going to look. And that's fine because it means I'm actually using it. So what I do with my journal, which I think is a little bit different than what a lot of people do, because a lot of people kind of treat it like just kind of like listing all of the information that you find about, like you'll list like all the symbols and the epithets, and you list what realms they rule and things like very like information based like that you get off the internet, which is like, it's good to have that stuff in there. And I do have pages for that, like sacred, here, I'll show you, so that you can also see that they don't have to look pretty. See, I got like an About Aphrodite page that has like the sacred days, the sacred animals, her lovers, her children. But I also, you know, I have stuff like that. I have the epithets. So many. And there's more. So I have that stuff, but I also put in here, this is kind of also like my research journal that I've decided that I'm not going to try. This isn't going to be like make everything look pretty. I want this to kind of be where I just, you know, like when I discover something about like Aphrodite being a war goddess, and I discover, wait, she was actually worshipped in Sparta as a war goddess. Well, let me write that down, you know, and where I found it and kind of put that stuff in there. I also have my special tarot readings that I do with her that are, because I do kind of tarot, like I do daily draws every day, specifically with her. Sometimes Apollo when he feels like he needs to smack me across the head. But typically it's with Aphrodite. But like the real special ones when it's like I'm talking about like her mind and relationship, or if we're doing like I'm thinking about actually, even though I always do shadow work with Persephone, I was actually thinking about trying it with Aphrodite to explore her underworld side more. So I might put that in here. I have the prayer in here that I wrote. So that's kind of what I do. I treat it as, and for things that I don't know yet, actually what I started doing, and this is it might be a system that some of you might want to do if you plan on going the route that I did with kind of treating it like a research journal also. Like the epithets I had listed, but then I found other ones that were really interesting to me, but I didn't know whether I wanted to put them in because I kind of wanted to research them first before I put them in to just kind of see how legit they were, and to also see more because they were the ones that interest me since they really showcase like her other sides that a lot of people don't know about. So I maybe wanted to do separate like pages on those. So what I did was I stuck them on just a little note thing as like a, you know, research, and just stick that in there. It's got one that's killer of men, bearing weapons, she upon the graves, skilled in inventing. There's prostitute, dark, ally in war, and gravedigger. So I'm going to be researching those, and you know darn well those are going to pop up in the podcast when I do find information about them. So yeah, that's what I that's how I treat my journal. And yeah, sometimes I decorate it nice. Like, you know, I have a lot of stickers, or I print out pictures and just stick them in just to kind of give it, or put the flowers stuff in it just to maybe make it a little nice to look at other than just words. But you can put whatever it is that you can put, like self-love and self-care stuff in there. You can put like any inner workings that you're doing with Aphrodite in there, all the stuff that you find out, conversations you've had with her. You could, like, so much stuff. Like, it can be like your self-care journal. You can have a list of things to do when you're feeling down in there. Like, you know, it can kind of double as a lot of different things. So whatever it is that you want to do. But that's what I decided, because for me, researching is such, and I love doing it, as I've talked about it many times. I love doing it. So I kind of decided that this is going to be like my research journal about Aphrodite, where I'll just, because I wanted everything in one place, especially because my goal is to write a book one day. So I figured it works to have all the information in this one journal that I could go back to when I start actually writing the book. So, all right. Yep. Yeah, definitely. Spooky. You can it doesn't need to be a journal. It can be a binder. Yeah, it could be a folder. It can be like something online that you keep. Some people treat like their own Tumblr or their blog as like a devotional journal of sorts. Yeah, whatever works for you. That's, you know, it could be whatever you want it to be. Are we talking about patrons again? Should I talk? I want to do both, Juliet. I want to write. I want to write Hellenic polytheism kind of 101 book for people. I want that, but I definitely want to write a book about Aphrodite. That's a big goal of mine. Kind of, if I'm being honest, I'd love to do one on all of the gods. Let them all have their own book to actually showcase like who they are, and to, you know, maybe dispel some misconceptions and everything. That's kind of the big goal. But smaller terms, yeah, I would want to do a book on Aphrodite and also one on Hellenic polytheism. Oh, thank you. That's what we'll be talking about. Lana Del Rey. Oh, thank you, Juliet. It depends, Emily. It really depends. Like, my relationship with Aphrodite started like in the idea that I couldn't stop thinking about her, but the reason why I very much took that as a sign was for two reasons. One, when I loved the Greek gods and Greek mythology and ancient Greece since I was little. I was obsessed. But the god that I loved the most was Apollo, obviously, because I'm a basic bitch. We all love Apollo. But I had no no like connection at all to Aphrodite. I didn't like Aphrodite. She wasn't on my radar. Like I had no, it wasn't even like, oh, she's okay. No, me and Aphrodite, just no. So when I decided I wanted to worship a god and I was looking for one and her name came up, I stopped and I stared at it. And no matter what I did, I couldn't stop thinking about her. Like days after, I could not stop thinking about her. So to me, that was a sign, because like I had no reason to even think about, you know, like I had no, there, it wasn't like this was a god, it wasn't like it was Apollo who, or even Athena, because I had like prayed to Athena even before being a Hellenic polytheist, you know, but Aphrodite never. Nope, never. And then there were other signs on top of it that pointed to her. So that's why for me, thinking about her was a sign. But that's not a kind of something you have to figure out on your own. You have to kind of be honest with yourself, both in the idea of, are you just wishing it was this god? Are you just wanting a god to be reaching out to you? Or you have to be honest with yourself in that, trust your instincts, you know, like, no, this, I feel it in my gut. This is a sign, you know, it's, yeah. Yeah, he is back again. He's just always, I don't know why I thought that Apollo was never gonna, like, was not gonna make an appearance. Even Aphrodite, I could see her. She's just sitting there like, I don't know what you thought was gonna happen. I was prepared for him to show up. Oh my god, I love and Hermes too quiet. He's like a toddler in the other room where it's like, you're like, wait a second. It's too quiet in there. Yeah, he was banned, but I think because he was banned, he's like, well, it's like that it's like that meme with DW from Arthur when she's staring at the side and she's like, well, that's not going to stop me because I can't read. It's Apollo staring at the Apollo not allowed. Well, that's not going to stop me. I did one of those on Instagram, one of those filters that was who's your godparent, and I got Hermes, and I was like, that just feels so accurate. I love memes, my corny jokes. I don't take anything seriously. I use humor to mask how I feel. Like, just like, it just, yeah, I think that is. It does. Honestly, Wicca is actually one of the reasons it took me so long to get into witchcraft, because when I was younger and was looking into witchcraft, like, it wasn't, I'm going to sound really old now. It wasn't like this where we had all these communities and everything online for you to kind of like discover there are different ways to practice witchcraft and be a witch, that it isn't just Wicca. But when I was younger, it wasn't really like that. You know, like the internet was just kind of becoming like a normal thing. That's how old I am. And I read Wicca books, specifically, I think like Scott Cunningham and Silver Ravenwolf, because those were like the big things, and it wasn't that much else available. So I was reading those, and I loved the idea of it, but like, and the idea that magic really exists and that you could be a witch, and just like the like the elements that is witchcraft, but I couldn't get behind Wicca as a whole. Like, I just couldn't do it. So I thought that was the only way to be a witch. So I just kind of left it and put it down. And it wasn't until really like I went on Tumblr and realized, wait, there's a lot of different ways to be a witch. Oh my god, yeah. All right, I'm totally a witch. Yeah, I probably would start with the 101 book because I do think that's an important thing because especially with all the questions that I keep getting, I feel like, and even like I am not satisfied with a lot of the books on the market for Hellenic polytheism. So I'm kind of like, I could do better. Some of them are good. But yeah, I'm like, I could do better. The 90s were weird. That's true, Juliet. It does. But it also kind of mixes like religion and it all together. And yeah, definitely. And it creates more of a structure for people if they really want the structure. Because that's some people like that with religion, is they like the structure of religion. Some people like that where it's like, this is, you do this, and like, you have to do it this way. And, but, you know, because I think for them, it gives it a little more meaning than just like, we'll do whatever the fuck you want. Then people are like, what? But I'm weird because I'm very, I have a authority issue where if like someone tries to tell me to do something, I immediately like, regardless of how I feel about it, I'm just immediately like, no. No. I'm going to do the opposite now. Even when I tell myself, I'm like, well, Jess, you need to do this. And my instinct is to just be like, oh, okay, well, now I'm not going to do that. Well, I think it's like, Roman, I think it's kind of like how it's explained because I think, yeah, when you think of it in terms of like the way movies like and books like Harry Potter explain magic, that it's a little like, why? But I feel like in a lot of ways, especially like if we're going to believe in like entities like the divine, then I kind of think it's witchcraft's a little bit more easier to wrap your brain around. At least like for me, because to me it's the idea, to me witchcraft is the idea that everything, there's energy in everything and all around us, and it's as children of this, you know, of this earth and of the universe, we have the birthright to use those energies and manipulate them however way we wish and we can, obviously, but with ethics. But still, the point is that we have that power, and that's what witchcraft is. It's basically kind of harnessing and manipulating the energies around us. That's at least how I wrap my brain around it, and to me, that makes sense. Oh, well, speaking of the spectrum, happy World Autism Month. I'm so excited. One of my friends told me it was that April is World Autism Month, and I'm like, oh, that makes me so happy because Aphrodite loves the autism community. I don't know how we went from Aphrodite to magic, but it's fine. That's part of her realm. I do witchcraft with Aphrodite all the time. Oh, I didn't get a chance to look at it. I'll look at it right now. I'd like to be jerkhead. It's so strong. That's why I always end up just doing all my magic with her. It's so strong. Was the game Animal Crossing? Little Dandelion? Was it Animal Crossing? Oh, I like that, Juliet. That magic is chaotic energy and witchcraft is a way to organize it for humans to use. I like that. I could definitely see that too. Yeah, I think it's essentially just like the idea that it's like there's energy out there, and as witches we harness it, we manipulate it, we make sense of it, we organize it. I mean, it's true. I'm a witch and I love Animal Crossing and Lana Del Rey. Juliet, that is the most Aphrodite thing I think anyone has ever said. Love is a potent form of magic, in my opinion. I don't know how someone can feel love and not feel magical. Yep. Aphrodite's very proud of you for that one. Yeah, like, I don't know, it's interesting. Like, I feel like she really does. But, the more that I think about her, like, it's not that surprising that she would be so, helpful, and, like, her energies would render themselves very useful to witchcraft. Stevie Nicks! Oh, I love Stevie Nicks. That's true. I agree. Any deity can help with magic. I definitely agree with that. I think because a lot of it goes back to the idea of who you just have like a connection with. It's kind of like when you think about like us and when we work in groups with each other for whatever it is that we're doing. You're going to do a better job and you're going to have a better product when everybody in the group gets along. And it just, you have a connection and it fits, as opposed to if you're just trying to force something to work, And I guess the same concept with deities and magic. It's whoever you have a really strong connection with, you're going to end up producing really good magic. Oh my god, I love Celeste. Oh, she does give off witch vibes because you're just sitting there staring at the sky. I'm like, you're adorable. I'm gonna adopt you. Is anyone playing like? Okay, I just need a one just to mention Animal Crossing, because I was playing it today and I was getting so overwhelmed because there was so much going on between, like, because it's bunny days coming up, so all the eggs, and then there's so many balloons in the sky. I'm like and then there are bugs everywhere to catch, like all these new ones. And then the fisher, the CJ guy with the fish came and he's like, yeah, you gotta do these challenges. I'm like, there's too much going on right now. I'm like, this is supposed to be relaxing, and I'm getting stressed out. I saw a whole thing about it when people were just like picking up like, like fishing and it was eggs, or digging up what they hoped was fossils, but it was an egg. You might not, I don't know if well, I would think that it would have been starting for anyone regardless. Oh yeah, freaking Gulliver. Like, how many times are you gonna fall off your goddamn boat before they just duct tape you down? I'm so annoyed. I hate how long it takes to wake him up too. That pisses me off. Yeah, there's so many eggs. Oh, here we go. Someone's actually asking a legit question about Aphrodite, so I should answer it instead of talking about Animal Crossing. Sorry, Aphrodite. Oh, this is something I definitely been wanting to talk more about in depth, of the idea of mixing the gods and like the Hellenic religion with witchcraft, because it's something I noticed that I just do instinctively. Like, I just thought everybody did that, and then people were like, wait, like, how do you do that? Like, how do you morph them? I'm like, oh, I just do it. So there are a lot of different ways you can go about doing it. A lot of it really does depend on how you go about witchcraft, like what you do. But the easiest ways is to invite them, like if you cast spells, invite them in to help you. I always I like to write my own spells anyway, but if I am doing something I found, I usually always like to rework it. Like, I remember I did a psychic spell last year at some point, and I specifically worked it so that I had Apollo and Hecate involved in it. And so you could do that. One of the other things is and I definitely want to get into this because I've been trying this out more. Doing things like I ground with Gaia. I just started doing it one time in yoga class. I just was thinking about Gaia, like, because when you're grounding, you essentially are supposed to think about the roots. Either like you have roots that go down into the earth, or the idea that roots kind of come up to you. So the idea is, to ground you into the earth, to make you feel connected to the earth, and then release extra energy into the earth, or you can bring it up if you need the extra energy. I always think of Gaia reaching out and kind of holding me down in place, and kind of like, taking my extra energy. That's always how I think of it. It just makes me feel very grounded to the earth and connected to her that way. Also, if you do any shielding or warding, you can do that with Ares. You could do it with Athena. Or even with, like, if it's like you're warding your house, you can do that with Estia. Yeah, I love grounding with Gaia. It was something that just, I feel like it was like she did, because it just happened. Like, we were in yoga class doing like the meditation, and I just imagined just her reaching out and just holding on to me. I can't think. Obviously, divination. Any kind of divination you can do with a god, specifically like Apollo. You can do that with a god. You can dedicate research to a god. You can turn a lot of things into devotional activities. of something else that you could do. I had it written down. Wait. If you do any workings with the moon, that could be with Selene or Artemis, depending on how you view them. I actually wrote this down recently because I was... Oh, yeah, cleansing. You can do cleansing with Estia. Oh, yeah, see? I wrote stuff down. Yeah, because when I was reading a book, reading the book Psychic Witch, I got a lot of ideas on, like, taking the stuff that he wrote about and turning it into, and, like, mixing in my deities. So, yeah, grounding with Gaia, drawing down the moon with Selene, energizing with Helios. So kind of the idea of, like, going out and getting, like, energy from the sun, and cleansing with Estia. I also had the idea because he was talking about this meditation, and I'm thinking I want to try developing it because I really like the idea of having, I think it was like a treasure box or some kind of box where the idea of this meditation of putting stuff in a box and, like, having it sealed and everything so you don't have to, like, carry it around with you anymore. And I thought that it would be interesting to kind of do that, but with, like, Pandora, and do, like, a Pandora's box kind of meditation. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting idea. Why is it every time I look at the chat, someone's talking? You know, Ella, it's usually you that's talking about Apollo. Oh my god, yeah, I don't know. I don't understand why people talk so negatively about combining magic and the gods. It's because I'm like, first off, there's a god of magic, and the ancient Greeks practiced magic. I don't understand. I think a lot of it is more people just get, like, pissy about the way people do it, which I can kind of understand because I know that some witchcraft books treat deities as ingredients, and I know that's an issue, especially when we're going to bring in, like, when we're not even just talking about our pantheon, we're talking about other pantheons and ones that are from closed religions and things like that. That's a big problem, but there are definitely a lot of Hellenic polytheists who, and I've read stuff about, like, them talking talking down about witches and magic and how that has no place in Hellenic polytheism. And I was just like, what? Does Hecate have no place then? Like, what's the purpose of Hecate then? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a problem too. I do think people think that that was a modern addition, that of Hecate being a goddess of magic and witchcraft, and it's like, no, people, there are actual academic books and articles about magic in ancient Greece. So, like, what? Right? Oh my god, Aphrodite made me do it. I should read some from that in another live stream. That book is the best. Oh, speaking of, I ordered, I'm very excited. I did my first, oh yeah, I can mention that too. I did my first order from bookshop.org, and I bought, what are the Great Goddesses, I think it's called, by Nikia Gill. And then I got, wait, let me make sure. You guys probably know what I'm talking about, because it's, like, so popular. And then also finally getting, If Not Winter, the compilation of Sappho's poems. Finally. Here we go. Yeah, Great Goddesses. Yeah, by Nikia Gill. Oh, I also got, I keep forgetting I got this too. I got, let me just, see if I can, yeah. Como Celebrating Festivals and Contemporary Hellenic Polytheism by Sarah K. Istra Winter. I finally decided to get that to try it out, especially so I can like let you guys know whether it's good or not. Yeah, so I'm really excited about those because I love Great Goddesses is beautiful. I love the I love that she has, even though everyone knows how I feel about Aphrodite and Ares, but I do love kind of that she had it where Aphrodite stayed with Hephaestus and like they were a happy couple and everything. I kind of liked that. And then of course, I mean, I'm mad that it took me so long to get a copy of it, If Not Winter, because Sappho's poetry, it's so hard because it's like the fragments of it are so beautiful that you're like, what was the whole thing? Like, I want the whole thing. Oh, and then, so my other thing that I wanted to just mention. So yeah, I'm officially not supporting Amazon anymore. I put my foot down on it. I'm not supporting Amazon anymore, especially like I've already, with everything, how Jeff Bezos is and what he doesn't do. It's not even what he does, it's what he doesn't do. I can't get behind it. And then even with the pandemic going on, and it's like he's got so much money to do so much and he's not doing anything. I'm like, I'm done with Amazon. Like I can't anymore. So I decided I'm just going to support bookshop.org because bookshop.org actually gives back to local and indie bookstores whenever you make a purchase. I'm just saying this. I'm not sponsored. I feel like just to say that. I literally this is me just talking. They give proceeds of everything that you, all your orders goes back to local and indie bookstores. And they kind of give a means for them to make money off of the website. And what they also do is they give people like me or anybody, really, it's anybody, you can, regardless, you can sign up and do this, is be an affiliate and kind of create your own little bookshop on there where you can put all the books that you recommend and everything. And if people buy through your shop, not only does the money go to local and indie bookstores, I would get a commission also. So considering I'm always recommending books, and now I signed up for NetGalley, where I can actually request books that are coming out, and I can request them and they'll give them to me, and I can read them and review them for everybody. Considering I started doing that, I actually am going to be reviewing a book about Persephone fairly soon. I'm almost done with the book. I figured considering I'm also doing that, might as well start a bookshop in case, people are always asking me, Jess, what should I read? Jess, what books for this, but for that? So it's like now instead of linking to Amazon, I can link to bookshop.org and maybe make a little commission for me. So it's basically, I'm just under the Pastel Priestess on there. And also I have it linked in my Tumblr and in my Instagram. So I can actually probably link it in case anybody wants it. But also, I do recommend, though, of course, to support your local libraries. And thriftbooks.com is a great one, too, because you find books very cheap there. And that's also eco-friendly in that regards. Where's my shop? There you are. But figured if there are books that you want to actually purchase, like Aphrodite made me do it, or Sappho, there you go. Enjoy. And also I just kind of also wanted to make people aware of that website in case you are also completely done with supporting Amazon. We have something else to, of course it does slightly sting not getting the, the books in about a day or two, but I think that's a very small sacrifice to pay for the bigger picture of not supporting fucking Jeff Bezos. Okay. I do. I want a Patreon so bad, Ayla. I really do want to start one, and I'm definitely planning to. My thing is I'm just trying to make sure I get into a good, consistent habit, because I don't want. If I'm going to ask people for money and people are going to pay me, I want to make sure I deliver on what I promise and what people paid for. So that's really important to me. So I think what I'm trying to do right now is get on a consistent releasing schedule with like my podcast, at least, so that, I know that I can then deliver consistent content to people, to my Patreons. But yeah, I definitely really, that's a goal of mine for the year, is to have a Patreon account set up. I already have some ideas of what will be the rewards. I was thinking about having like an extra podcast episode for Patreons, having maybe like extra blog entries, doing like maybe something like a book club thing, or was something else and I just forgot it. Yeah, things like that. Oh, thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate that. Oh, thank you, Ayla. Oh, yeah, you should definitely. I read that wrong. You said you wanted to start one. Thank you, but I'm happy for the support. Always happy for the support. But yeah, no, it's definitely this this whole quarantine thing has really kind of made me realize the kind of life I want to live and the life I don't want to live. And I really think that I've always felt like, ever since I kind of started doing all of this, that this is what, not only what I want to do, but what I was meant to do. But even with this whole quarantine going on, it's really kind of solidified in me that this, having like my own business and being able to help people in this kind of way, is, I think, where I'm going to be the happiest and where I need to be, especially because I'm really I think I probably talked about this, and I really am all about autonomy and having just control over my life and my body and what I do. And so the idea, with what's going on now, where people are being, laid off and people don't know what's going on with their jobs, or people are forced to keep working even though maybe they're like terrified or they're at risk and all that, so they have to choose, like, the idea that it's like somebody else kind of controls my life in that way makes me extremely uncomfortable. And even something on a small level, the idea that I can't necessarily dress the way that I want, have my hair the way that I want. I might have to, like, if I want to get tattoos, I might have to sit there and decide, like, where I put them. Can I hide them? If I want a piercing, you know what I mean? Like, the idea that if I go into the workforce, these things are kind of decided for me instead of me getting to decide. And I don't like that. So to me, everything about what I value and who I am as a person really just kind of comes together into this and doing this. Like, that's kind of where I'm the happiest and where I think my talents would serve best. And yeah. It has, definitely. It's really become a moment of introspection. I've actually gotten a lot done in terms of, I've been meditating every day. I've been doing yoga every day, basically, doing my devotions every day. And it's really been helping me figure a lot of things out and really feel more confident in myself and feeling more like I'm able to do things that I want to do finally. Bye, everybody who's leaving. Thanks for hanging out. Oh, don't worry, Ella. Like, I'm not planning on making everything paid content. Like, more of what I plan on doing, it's like extra stuff. Like like Tea with the Gods is still gonna be mainly free and available to everyone. If anything, I may just have like extra episodes, just like extra little bonus episodes, and may do like extra stuff or more like certain community based things. And but it's like it's never going to be I like how I talk about her a lot, but she really is kind of like who I look up to in this kind of sense. But Kellyanne Maddox, I like how she does her business because she's got her YouTube channel and she always has her YouTube channel and she updates like her YouTube channel on that all the time. But then she will have her other stuff that she does that you pay for, like her services, you know, like if she comes out with like a that's something I was thinking about doing is like but I don't know if I should just do the book instead, but like doing like an e-course or something like that. Because a lot of people do those, the e-courses or the video courses or things like that. I was like, well, maybe I should do that. But I will always have free stuff because I know that there are, you know how I am. I'm always talking about information being accessible to people. So I want to make sure that certain things are accessible to people, you know. But I think part of why a lot of people end up having, you know, the paid stuff is so that they can continue. Because if I can support myself, then I can also continue to make free content. Yeah, I don't know. I think it just depends on how like your brain works. Like for me, the reason why I finally am able to be productive and do a lot during this time is because like what I've always struggled with is feeling like all this other stuff that I want to do isn't where I should be putting my time or energy. Like I always had this there's a lot of shadow around time. You know, the idea that there's not enough time, or you know, I can't waste time, and you know, like if I want certain things I have to, you know, give it time. Like it was like it's always this, and it's like the idea that it's what other people's expectations of me, and that's what I have to fulfill. Like the idea of getting like a regular person job, you know, doing something that society can like sees as like acceptable and you know, adult and responsible and those kinds of things. And my brain would say like, you should be doing that instead. You should be looking for a job in that. You should be you know, thinking about going back to school. You should be doing those things because that's important. And all these other stuff that you want to do, you know, you don't even know if it's going to work out or whatever. That's not what you should be doing. And because now everything is shut down and I can't really get you know, I can't really get a job because everything's shut down. And even if I did, like my dad really just kind of wants me home because he doesn't want to get sick. So like the expectations of me right now is just to stay at home. So essentially I don't have that voice anymore going, well, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, because it's like, well, I can't. You know, so that's kind of why I'm doing really well right now. But I am a little nervous of what it's going to be like when everything opens up. But I don't even know when everything's going to open up. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea too, little Daniel, like early access. Oh, yeah, I could do that. That's actually a really good idea. I could do that with Tea with the Gods. The patrons could get the episode before I put it on YouTube for everybody else to listen. That's a very good idea. Thank you. Moo came out of her cave to eat. Let's see if she'll come over and say hi. Well, I think that's the problem for a lot of people. Yeah, like people work really well with structure. I think that's the problem. It's like, however, it's going to affect us all differently because depending on what was holding us back to begin with, how our brains work, just what works for us. And I know, yeah, for some people, the lack of structure is really difficult. I know for like my mom and my friend, the thing with them, it's just like they're so used to, going to work and then coming home and pretty much just kind of like recovering from work and going to sleep, eating and going to sleep, that like now that they're working from home and they don't have that much work to do, it's kind of like they're realizing they're like, I don't even know what I like to do anymore. Like, because their job had like sucked so much of their time that it's just like, they're like, what do I even do with myself now? Like, what do I like? What am I passionate about? Oh, that's great. That's actually a great thing to do, is write some poetry. Even though we're not even talking about Aphrodite. It's okay. Yeah, that is hard. I think for me it was easy because like I've been unemployed, so it's essentially not much changed for me. It was actually only in a way kind of, I hate to say like good because it's not good, but for me as an individual, it worked because like I said, the expectations that I had, and it's not even the expectations of everybody around me because my family is pretty chill for the most part. Like ultimately, like my dad he wants me to, be able to take care of myself. He, that's what he wants. So even if that is being able to do this for a living, like he'd be like, I don't get it, but you're making money, you're happy. Okay, cool. But I think it's more of expectations I put on myself, that I'm thinking I should be doing something else. I should be dedicating my time to something else. And so now that it's not like that and I don't have anything else to do, it's actually just been helping me get through those barriers and those blocks. And I've just been keeping real consistent. And even like the perfect thing is like today, I woke up and the last thing I wanted to do was my whole yoga, meditation, devotion routine. Like I did not want to do it at all. I felt awful this morning, but I still did it because I told myself it's not about getting anything out of it right now. It's about creating the habit. So even if you just sit down and do it for 5 minutes, that's enough. And that's what I did. If anybody's interested in doing yoga with Adrienne on YouTube is the best. And she has like 5-minute yoga sessions. I did one of the 5-minute ones just to stretch my body out. I did a 5-minute meditation. I usually do 10, but I adjusted it to 5. And I did what I could at my altar and said, I said my devotions to Hestia, Apollo, Aphrodite, and since today's the 3rd, Athena. And I did that. I even did the tarot draw. Like I just like didn't have any expectations. I'm like, just sit down and do even just 5 minutes just to keep the habit. I love yoga. It's my favorite. Like I do not like exercise or working out or being active. It sounds so bad, but I don't like it. I admit it, I'm kind of a couch potato. I'll admit it. I don't like running. I don't like going to the gym. I don't like sports. I don't like any, but yoga, I love. I love it. I've never been in a situation where it was like I did something active and I felt that sense of like, I want to get better at this. You know, usually you're just kind of like, is this over yet? But this was, I remember being in like my yoga classes and I'm like, I want to get better at it. I want to be able to do that inversion. I want to be able to move up to that that pose. I want to be able to do that, and like that I had actual goals in my mind with yoga. So I'm actually trying to get back into it now because it motivates me and it really does make me feel good. I like just the stretching out of the body and all that. Yeah, couch potato gang. Yeah, I agree with that, Lindsay. Like, I think that's one of the reasons I like devotional acts so much is because they can make things that we really should be doing but don't really want to be doing, like working out, a lot easier to do because it's, you're making it part of your religion. You're giving it to a God that you care about. I agree with that, Ella. Absolutely. It's true. Healthy doesn't look like, it's not one body type, Ooh, here you go. Some Aphrodite questions. So wait, I just want to make sure. I agree with that, Dag. It does. I feel isolated, yet I feel like I've never been more connected with people. It's true. Like, it's funny because me and my friend have been like hanging out in a way more now than we did then because we're not physically hanging out. We're FaceTiming, but we FaceTime pretty much every day and just sit there and talk and watch Marvel movies. And we've done, and like, so it's like we've been interacting a lot more during this quarantine than we did when I could physically go to her house. It's interesting. Okay. I think in terms of Aphrodite content, I think the big thing is I want her in all of her glory, not just her as a love goddess or a goddess of beauty. And even with the love part, the idea that like that's a huge broad term in itself, like I think people sometimes look at it through a very small lens of what love represents and means, not even just for the ancient Greeks, but for us today. And that it's a very big term that is complex. But yeah, that she really, I can't even stress the fact that every time I pick up something, a book or an article, like there's something that blows my mind that I'm just like, wait, what? That's a thing? Wait, let me see. I know I had some notes. Let's see if there's anything. No. Oh yeah, she's got like, she's got sanctuaries next to medical sanctuaries. I was like, what? Huh? Yeah, I've been reading on the sacred prostitution. That's a very interesting topic. Yeah, and her being like the guardian of the magistrates, and like I think they had like in Corinth she had like a political military function apparently. I'm like, what's happening now? I just have all these things that I saw in one of the articles I read that I'm gonna research more, because you can't always go by, what one person says, even in academia, especially in academia, because, a lot of people have their own biases and they interpret what we know in a certain way, how, you know, what they think. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's the fact. So yeah, I agree with that, Juliet. I'm definitely am going to explore that in my podcast, because I'm going to talk a lot more about her in that way. Yeah, of wrath and rage and war and being bitchin'. Yeah, because some of them, yeah, she has Dark Killer of Men. What's other ones? This one, I thought, this epithet, I want to look into this epithet, which is like she who holds the keys. I'm like, interesting. She also has one that people describe as hidden, concealed, occult, and secretive. She's got so many things that are very, like, all over the place. She's got a few, too, that mean queen. I like the beautiful butt one. Like, that's accurate. Oh, Miranda. We had this discussion on my last live stream, but I will talk about it again. Okay. You guys ready for a mythology rant again? Here we go. So, the people who say that Aphrodite and Persephone can't be put together or can't be worshipped together are basing most of that on the very misogynistic mythology. Because the mythology makes it seem like none of the goddesses get along with Aphrodite except for basically Hera. And none of the goddesses get along with Aphrodite. Because basically the mythology just pins women against each other. Thinks that women are catty, thinks that women are in constant competition with one another for the attention and the affection of men. And that they're also willing to step on each other, destroy each other, murder each other in order to win in this competition. So I actually, I'm a devotee to Aphrodite, and I was a devotee to Persephone for a while. But I still worship her, even though I'm not her devotee. I've never had any issues with the two of them. Actually, from the feelings I've gotten from both of them is that they're very close. They're very, very good friends. I just think it's the patriarchy, basically. It's the patriarchy. It's, men don't like seeing girl power. Men don't like seeing women supporting women or the sisterhood. They don't like that. So they are going to pin women and goddesses against each other, especially with Aphrodite, because it's that trope of, it's like in, in Mean Girls or any of those tropes where the most pretty popular girl doesn't typically get along with other girls because of that idea of competition, because she's getting all the attention from the men and all the other girls are jealous of her, so they're not going to be friends with her. And the popular girl likes that they're jealous of her, so she's not going to try and befriend them or anything because she wants them jealous, because that means she's winning. So that's Aphrodite in that sense, because she's the goddess of beauty, and all that, and all the guys want her, and so yeah. No. I am very convinced that Aphrodite and Artemis, they're together. Or they were at some point, whatever. That's I've said it a million times, and Aphrodite has never once tried to correct me. Just saying. Never tried to correct me. So, yeah, exactly. It's just stereotypes. Yeah, I see them more as like they have it's their typical friends that maybe like the Adonis myth. Like even if that was real, because we don't know. I always go on the side of things not being real or maybe having sprinkles of truth in them. But even though it's real, like I don't think that's enough to make two people hate each other. You know? It's likely, especially after all this time, I feel like they would have like buried the hatchet at some point. Yes, I know. Like I feel like there had to have been some Aphrodite and Apollo myths because I'm like, it makes no sense to me that like she was hooking up with everybody else but Apollo. Like it does not make any sense. She was hooking up. She literally was hooking up with Hermes, with Dionysus. She was hooking up with Ares. She was married to Hephaestus. She was hooking up with Zeus. She was hooking up with Poseidon. Like she was hooking up with everybody. She was hooking up with Artemis. I'm convinced of that. You can't tell me otherwise. Like there literally had to have been something between the two of them. That was always the biggest question mark for me when I was like researching mythology was why not Aphrodite and Apollo? To be honest, I don't know much about Venus. I don't really concern myself with the Roman pantheon because like I have so much more I have so much going on in my own pantheon that I just don't even have the time to look at the Roman one. So I really have but from what I feel like and if you can correct me if I'm wrong, like I'm saying this based on just vague ideas of what I think I may have read, so I'm not putting all this as fact. I feel like she was much more, like Venus was much more like a love goddess, like where Aphrodite had those other possible, like, the war side and all that, where I think Venus was very much, not to say that she wasn't like complex either, but I feel like the Romans might have actually like really solidified, no, she's a love and beauty goddess. And I know they like really also, well, the Greeks really loved Aphrodite too, but Venus was definitely a very important goddess and just god in Rome. Oh, is it Ayla? What kind of, I'm curious, like what's the difference between the energies? Because I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about how the Roman pantheon relates to the Greek one. I keep going back and forth on it. I think, like, I really think that ultimately my opinion on it is going to be, because I think I'm starting to realize that I don't need to have an opinion on everything. Just because I have a platform doesn't necessarily mean I need to be like, okay, well, this is my opinion on it. I could just be like, I don't know. And honestly, I don't really care, because like the Roman pantheon is not my concern. So I just kind of don't, how that fits into anything doesn't affect me because I don't fit it into anything. I do, though, like certain things that depict Venus, I do still use as Aphrodite because to everybody doing the artwork and to majority of society even today, Aphrodite and Venus are interchangeable. So that's kind of why I will use, like I have the statue of the birth of Venus on my Aphrodite altar. But because to me, it was, to them, there was no, they would use it interchangeably. Aphrodite and Venus were the same. So then I feel like just because it says Venus doesn't mean it's not also Aphrodite, if that makes sense. Yeah, Aphrodite's definitely chill. Yeah, Rome definitely is very militant. Well, it makes sense. Like, Greece really kind of didn't. Ares was kind of pretty low, low in terms of all the Olympians to Greece, while Mars is like, the Romans loved Mars, like he got a month. Ares got freaking savagely destroyed by his father in freaking the Iliad. Like, that's what Ares got. So yeah, I definitely, them being militant, definitely I would go with that. I wish I knew what my ancestors were. I have no idea. That seems like a very, like, that kind of reminds me a lot of like how Wiccans see deities, at least some of them. The idea that a lot of gods, like that, a lot of the gods are just aspects of another god, kind of deal. I don't know how, to me, I think like it's hard for me to say that because then I feel like I'm intruding on other people's beliefs and pantheons. You know what I mean? By saying your god is just a part of my god or whatever. I mean, I'm not saying anything against, I don't think there's anything wrong with what you believe. I'm just saying, like, for me, that's kind of why I don't. It's also why I don't really venture into the idea of other gods, because I'm just like, I'm just gonna stick with my pantheon. With my pantheon, my gods, I don't really. It feels the same thing as like how uncomfortable I get with the idea of thinking of the gods on a global scale. So that's kind of the same feeling of like thinking it kind of makes me think more of them in a global scale kind of thing. But it does bear the question, the idea of, though, how the gods, are related, because, there's all the talk of, where the gods came from, like especially the Greek gods, like where did they came from, other cultures and all that, and they had different names, and so does that, but like, are we believing that that's that they, because it does make sense, the idea that if these divine beings who've been here since the beginning of time, that they don't just show up when the civilization that tends to worship them the most pops up. So it kind of makes sense that they would kind of get passed down from civilization and culture and have things, I think it's like they would have their names changed, and then maybe certain aspects emphasized, like Aphrodite, we know the idea that she came from other cultures, that actually those goddesses were very much revered for their war side. And so the idea is that Aphrodite does have a war side. It's just when the Greeks started worshiping her, they kind of focused more on her, more feminine sides, and being more delicate and soft, and, being about love and beauty and all that. But it doesn't necessarily erase the fact that she still has those aspects, But then it kind of leads into the question of, then, okay, well, then if we can believe that these gods are essentially the same but with different names, where do we draw the line in that? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's not like you're just gonna show up to someone's house like, by the way, your God is just an aspect of my God. Just so you know. You need to walk away. Yeah, because it's like that's a big thing, especially when you start reading about the Greek gods specifically, because a lot of them, like, it's very clear that they evolved from, beings from, like, Babylonia or Mesopotamia, all these other the civilizations that came before Greek, ancient Greece came about. Um and the thing though is it's like and have to try to think like, okay, well, what does that mean for the god that I worship? Does that mean, are they different? Are they the same? Is it just, I kind of think of it as like, because you can't separate the culture and the civilization from the religion. Like, you can't do that. So it's, to me, it was always understanding that when I'm reading ancient Greek resources, it's through the lens of their interpretation of the gods. There's going to be it, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's who the gods are and all that they are. And I think that's why it's important to look at the gods from other civilizations that apparently the Greek gods came from, because then you might get more of an understanding of the complexity and the whole of who they are. That's actually part of something I'm going to be doing with Aphrodite, because that's a big part of her, in understanding how complex she is to see the goddesses that she kind of evolved from, or she was, and then they just interpret her differently. And Apollo's back. Apollo to Saint. It's funny, I read people were comparing, well, not really people, it was actually in an academic text that was specifically talking about Catholics from, like, back then, how they were comparing Apollo to Jesus. So I was like, oh, I'm like, that's great for his ego. Oh, most people on here don't like Lore Olympus. I've never read it, but I have no desire to read it because of what I've heard they've done to Apollo, so. Fair amount. Missed fair amount. I need to read Punderworld. I have to read that. I have to read it. I don't know why more people aren't talking about it. How come Lore of Olympus is so popular, but Punderworld isn't? Oh yeah, I used to be devoted to Hermes, but I, just like with Persephone, I undevoted myself to him, but I have a very close relationship with him. So yeah, I can definitely talk about Hermes at some point. Jesus is Athena. No, wasn't it? What was the joke? Athena wasn't Jesus. Wasn't she Judas? Wasn't Athena Judas? Wasn't that the joke? No, I've never had any conflicts. I've worshipped on a regular basis, like my closest relationships are Aphrodite, Persephone, Hermes, and Apollo. Those are kind of the ones that I always have around and kind of always go to. But I've also had some of the other gods pop in and out. So if I've had a lot of like deities in the same space, and there have never been any issues because honestly, like they're used to it. So I don't know, like people who, this is why it's so important to research how the ancient Greeks actually worshipped, because a lot of these misconceptions, you know, wouldn't be happening, because regardless of what mythology says, they still, the ancient Greeks still worshipped everybody together, basically. You know, like different people, like different households and city states had like their patron gods or the gods that watched over them. But so they had like a kind of their own little set of gods that they would pray to all the time. And then whenever they wanted something or needed something or certain situations came up, they would go and pray and give offerings to that god. So it was like there was never an issue of, oh, they don't get along. Like that just was not a thing. You didn't have to worry about that. So yeah, why people keep bringing that up is so, but I can't even blame them because I actually believed it at one point, because one of my, this is why I stress not to use witchy books specifically for your religion, because they're kind of wrong most of the time. One of my witchy books specifically said Aphrodite and Persephone don't get along. Aphrodite doesn't get along with anybody. Doesn't get along with Artemis, doesn't get along with Athena, only gets along with Hera. And I was like, oh, okay. And I decided to believe that instead of my own knowledge of ancient Greeks and go, that doesn't seem right. But no. Yeah, so I've never had any conflict with any of the gods at all. To me, they just seem like like a regular family that maybe sometimes has quarrels and maybe sometimes, you know, is holding grudges, whatever, but they still show up to, you know, work. You know, they still do what they're, you know, that they don't let that get in the way also of our relationship. But worshiping them together, it's just kind of like, it depends. It really depends on kind of like what you're looking to do. I would usually just kind of like, they would have their own special, like, I always made sure to kind of like not everything be grouped together. Like each one would have their own like sacred day, or I would celebrate a certain festival for them, you know, like you give everybody like their own time and everything. But sometimes I did stuff together where it was just kind of like give devotions. Like each morning now I light my candle for Hestia, I light my candle for Apollo, and I light my candle for Aphrodite. And then I light my candle for whoever sacred day that is that day. And I do that, and I give my say my prayers for each of them. You know, it's not yeah, so it's not like you can have, and I would have them both on the same altar. But yeah, like you don't, just because like I think some people also get wrapped up in the idea of like they treat it like it's their children, you know, where it's like if you give one to one then you have to give it to the other, you know, like you don't ever want to play like favoritism with them. But it's not really like that. You don't really have to worry about that. It's usually, especially as long as you definitely have a like some kind of like schedule set in where you know, okay, I do this for Aphrodite, and then I do this, you know, and then I'll have this for Persephone, and on this day that's Aphrodite's day and that's Persephone's day, you know, so then you don't really have to worry about it. Yeah, I was actually thinking doing an episode about just relationships with the gods in general, like all the different ways that we can have relationships with them, because of, you know, what I went through with undevoting myself to Hermes and Persephone and kind of realizing that I don't need to be devoted to a god in order to have a close relationship with them. So I kind of really wanted to touch on that, like the idea of all the different ways that we can interact and have fulfilling and connecting relationships with the gods. But I do think like the idea of undevoting and losing relationships and kind of the more, I do think I probably should talk a little bit more of the, I don't want to say negative because it's not always negative, but like the stuff that a lot of people don't talk about. Because, you know, that I think that's one of the big issues within the community is there's this idea that there's this kind of view on how worship is because all anybody does is share all the good and the extraordinary and the magical and the wonderful and when things are going fantastic and when they're excited about something, you know, we all share that. And we kind of don't really talk about, you know, when the gods do go silent or when we do have issues with them or when we need to undevote ourselves or when it's time to walk away from a relationship and all these other kind of less appealing, I guess, stuff. So I feel like maybe that is an area that I should explore more just to kind of remind everyone and also to let the newcomers that are coming in know that, like, you know, don't let social media make you think that it's all sunshine and roses and nonstop communication and wonderful all the time. Roman, you just won like all of all the props from Apollo with that. Jesus wishes he was Apollo. Apollo sitting there going, "Yeah, Roman gets it." Mm-hmm. It's true. It is kind of hilarious. I think that's a big problem. I think people don't want to. I think people kind of look at it similarly the way that people look at witchcraft. Because witchcraft, it's like a lot of people don't look at the historical records of like what, you know, traditional witches did or what witches of the past did. A lot of people just use the internet or, you know, the modern witchcraft books to help them establish their craft and everything. And I think a lot of people kind of view like paganism and like everything that falls into that category the same way, not kind of realizing it's a little bit differently. Like I think with witchcraft, even though it's always good, but I'm always going to say that because I'm a history nerd, like it's always good to know where something comes from, you know, like especially with things like correspondences, to understand why love is linked to roses and, you know, why sage is cleansing, you know, that's a good thing to know. So if you look back in history, you can see why witches came to that conclusion and how they figured it out. But in a lot of ways, you can get away with not looking at the history, you know, with witchcraft and everything in order to be a very well-rounded and a very informed witch. While with Hellenic polytheism, it's really difficult to kind of understand everything without looking at the history and without looking at ancient Greece, you know, and their culture, what they believed, their history, you know, and everything like that. And it's extremely difficult. And I think a lot of people don't realize that going into it. I think a lot of people just kind of see it as like, oh, these are these fun gods that you know, that were in Percy Jackson and I can worship them. Like that, I'm not like trying to look down on people. It's just kind of like, you know, I think the appeal of we had this conversation the other one, the idea of like looking at the gods as like fictional characters kind of, and I think there's kind of like that thing going on. So people don't really look at it in the light that I think it needs to be looked at. Oh, I think I actually am looking into asking Aries to help me ward. I think it's a great way to mix. I think it's a great way to mix, you know, your religion and your witchcraft, or even if you're not a witch but still want to ward, because you can ward and not be a witch, but just to do that for protection, I think it's a great idea. Yeah, I don't think there's nothing. I never have any issues. I do want to make sure. Not that I know nobody's thinking I'm going to say, you know me, you know I'm not like that. But I just wanted to be very clear that there is nothing wrong with how you got into the religion. If it was Percy Jackson, hell, if I was, it was just, you know, that was out when I was in like, God, was it? Like, no, I think, no, I was like older, you know, so I probably would have gotten into it if I was, you know, it came out when I was younger. So there's nothing wrong with getting even more of Olympus. If that's how you got into it, that's fine, you know. It's just about how you exactly what you said, Zoe, the idea that you didn't let it influence how you view the gods, and you know that you kind of did the work afterwards, and know that like reading fiction isn't going to be enough to understand what the gods and this whole religion means and represents. Oh, Belle's here. Hi, Belle. Welcome home. Oh, what are we reading? What did I miss? Yeah, I think it's a lot of that's why it was really important for me to share about my experience with undevoting myself to Persephone and Hermes, because I just think that was important, A, for people to know that they can do that. That's a thing that they can do, and that it's okay, you know, and it doesn't have to be like this awful thing. And then even the idea that, you know, I always like to show, I don't want to say it's not, I wouldn't say it was a mistake, but I like to show, one of the reasons I'm so open is because people do look up to me. People look at me for inspiration. They look up to me, and I like to show, like, look, I have such a great relationship with the gods. You know, people always are like, your relationship with the gods is so inspiring. I hope to get there one day, you know, and it's like, well, look, you know, even I have times where it's like I might have bit off more than I can chew, and I realize that I can't do all that. So I had to change things around, you know, I had to kind of, you know, be like, I can't do this anymore. You know, like I don't do everything perfectly in this either, or I evolve and change, and I'm still learning, you know, like I kind of definitely want people to know that, and so that they can see, so that it's okay when things like that happen for them. The Disney movie Hercules? You don't like that movie? That movie is one of Disney's best. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. It's one of Disney's best. It's got one of the best soundtracks ever too. Oh, I loved it. I remember when it came out, I was so excited because it was all based. I loved anything based around the Greek gods because I was obsessed. So I was like, oh my God. And I remember I went to did it come out in the movies? Yeah, it came out in theaters. I went to go see it. And then I even remember, my birthday, I ended up getting a whole bunch of like Hercules merch because I loved it so much and everybody knew I loved it so much. I think like McDonald's had those plates and I was collecting them because I was obsessed. You haven't seen it, Zoe? You gotta watch it. Okay, that's fine. As long as everybody can agree that the soundtrack is a bop, then you know what? I could get past you not liking the movie. But, I mean, Hades is hilarious. It's not accurate, but he's hilarious. Oh, bye, Jay. Thank you for hanging out. Okay, well, you can't compare the two. Lore Olympus, like, I mean, first off, at least there's music in Hercules. He's got really good music, okay? And the muses are awesome. And Pain and Panic are hilarious. And like, not making out the gods to be awful, awful people. I mean, I guess except Hades is kind of, he tried to kill a baby, but it was Disney, so it was cute. I did. Belle got me a super cute Muses shirt. I love it. Daddy energy. Are we talking like daddy energy? Like daddy? Like, is that what we're saying here? Or are we saying like daddy like father or daddy like daddy? Oh my God, that's adorable. Actually, my friend has already planned I don't know if I'm ever going to get married, but if I do, my friend has already planned my Beauty and the Beast themed wedding. And it makes me want to get married just so I can have that wedding. This is adorable. Yes. Oh my God. That is the best way to describe it. I love you so much, Juan. Like daddy in a family way or daddy in a Lana Del Rey way. Yeah. Like, it's funny because it's like, she very clear, because she talks about her actual dad in her songs, but you can very clearly see when she's talking about her man and when she's talking about her father, because she says father or dad, and then she says daddy. on like, and I'm gonna bring him up again. God damn it, I'm gonna bring him up again. On one of on Tumblr one time, I just was like, has anybody ever called Apollo daddy? How did he react to that? Oh my goodness, Juliette, I never even thought of that. Oh my God, officiating people's weddings. Oh, like have like a Hellenic polytheist wedding, and oh my god, that's actually a really cute idea. I kind of love that. I would love to do that. My favorite version of Aphrodite in shows or cartoons. I really liked her in the Hercules cartoon. She was really good in that. Trying to think. I don't remember like Xena that much. I keep remembering that one gif where it was like one of the ladies just saw Aphrodite, was like, "Oh my god, it's Aphrodite," and like gave her a hug. It was like, "It's great to see you." And I was like, that's just me always with Aphrodite. Yeah. Oh, that's oh yeah. I would totally help with weddings and oh man, I'm finding like a new thing to do. I'm like, I can officiate weddings. Yay. I would. I will absolutely. I'm gonna have to, make sure I can officiate. I'll have to do that now. I would love to. I'd be so honored. Juliet, I will absolutely officiate your wedding. That's a guarantee. I will do it. I like how I banned him. I should have known he wouldn't stay banned for long. Because now I just want to talk about Apollo being daddy, and I'm like, no, Jessica, no. This is an Aphrodite live stream. Let's talk about Aphrodite being mommy. Or Aphrodite being daddy. You know what? She could be both. Yeah, I never planned my wedding, but my friend is really into like themed planning, and she's really good at it, like themed party planning. She completely just planned my Beauty and the Beast themed wedding. Like, she was like, okay, so you can get married in the New York Public Library. I was like, fuck yeah. And then she's like, we can have your bridal shower in Strand Bookstore. I'm like, okay, keep talking. She's like, your wedding song can be Beauty and the Beast. I'm like, actually, I was thinking of doing, because I really love Love Song by Lana Del Rey. So she was like, actually, I heard this one couple, they had two wedding songs, but one they did in front of everybody, and another one they actually had, I think it was after everything, they had everybody leave, and it was just the two of them, and they danced together to another song. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. A Samhain wedding. I will definitely help. I can ask my friend. She's so good at this stuff. If you want, like, me and her will sit there. She's got time now. Me and her will sit there and just be like, okay, you tell us what you want, and literally me and her will sit there and brainstorm and like help you out. I will absolutely. I do, like, thanks to her, I started like really like planning weddings. I don't know if I'm ever gonna get married, but it's just fun to plan. You know me? Because I live in New York. Oh, Cherry. I love Cherry. It's like one of my favorite songs. I say that about every Lana Del Rey song, though. Do you know what Lana Del Rey song I'm obsessed with? It's okay. We could talk about Lana Del Rey because she's definitely like full on Aphrodite energy. The one that I've been listening to the most lately is High by the Beach. I love that song. A, because it's what I want to do. Want to get high by the beach. And B, like, I love when she's so savage in her songs. Like, she's just like, you could be a bad motherfucker, but that doesn't make you a man. I was like, oh, Lana with the takedown. Yeah, we're still here. We're usually always here until at least 3 hours. We have to hit the 3-hour mark first. Don't you just need to take, aren't most places you just need to take like a test online to be an ordained minister? Oh, Off to the Races is such a good song. She played it when I went to go see her in September of last year. She did Off to the Races and I was like freaking out. Hi, Dylan. Okay. Huh. I feel like we didn't really talk much. No, we did. We talked about Aphrodite, right? Yeah, we did. We did. Oh. It's fine. We're hanging out. She's happy about that. I feel like that way with all Lana Del Rey songs, though. All her songs just like make me like leave my body. That's true. It is very Aphrodite. Yeah, because I was actually reading more about how like because a lot of people always see Hera as strictly about marriage, but Aphrodite was too. We could. I mean, everyone knows me. I can talk about, ask me questions and I will answer them. Oh, I love Venice Bitch. That's such a great song. That whole album. Okay, can I just rant for a second? I just need to. I'm going to rant about it for the rest of my life, I'm telling you. I'm still really bummed that Norman fucking Rockwell did not win anything at the Grammys because that album, I think it's my favorite album ever. Like, ever. Like, if I was stranded on a desert island, they were like, you could only bring one album, without hesitation, I would say Norman fucking Rockwell because that album is so fucking good. Yeah, I'm still so pissed about it. I'm still so salty. And you know what makes me even more salty about it is when Billie Eilish won and she was like, Ariana Grande deserved this. I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, I like Ariana Grande. Like, don't get me wrong. I like Ariana Grande. I like her music. But no. Like, no. She was not the one in that list of people who deserved it. I didn't say Billie didn't deserve the award. What I'm saying is that Lana should have won. A, should have won something. And B, when Billie said that Ariana deserved it, she should have said, oh, if you're going to say somebody else deserves it, Ariana was really not. I don't know. So. She did. That album was so good. The fact that Lana Del Rey does not have a Grammy by now is really frustrating. Like, it's really frustrating to me. Yeah, I just felt like it was kind of like, I think it's kind of ridiculous when one artist sweeps the whole, the whole award show. Like when, every time Adele gets nominated, I'm always like, oh, we watching the Adele Awards because she wins everything. And that's just kind of like annoying to me. Like, I feel like, I don't know. No, she does not have one Grammy. She doesn't. No, it is a crime. Yeah, Lana is the new Leo. She really is. Because I went on a whole rant about Leonardo DiCaprio that he didn't have an Oscar yet because I'm like, he should have won one for What's Eating Gilbert Grape because he was fantastic in that movie. And I was like, I don't care whether he sucked in any movie that he's nominated in. He just deserves an Oscar because he should have gotten one already for that movie. Oh, I don't know. I don't know things like that, Belle. Also, I'm not really gonna like indicate my full location on my live stream. Not that I don't trust anybody, but this is gonna go on my YouTube channel, so anyone can watch it. So I'm not gonna pinpoint my location. My dad already was getting like, when I kept getting packages from people, he's like, you have stalkers? I'm like, no, these are my friends. They just really love me and want to send me things. Okay? Yes, it does count. I did, at the beginning of the live stream, I did dedicate it to Aphrodite. So yes, participating and watching this live stream counts as a devotional act. You're all very welcome. Yeah, Grammys are trash now. A lot of the award shows are trash. Well, Oscars definitely shocked the hell out of me. I was really surprised, like pleasantly surprised that they gave the Oscar to Parasite because I was convinced that they were going to give Parasite the international one, but was not going to give it the best picture. I was very much convinced they were not going to do that. So when they did, I was like, wow, that was a shocker. Like, I don't really, I used to, well, no, that's not true. I was obsessed with the MTV Video Music Awards when I was younger because they were good back then. Like when Britney was performing all the time and at the height of her career and all like the crazy shit was always happening. Like that was the best. But like I only watched like the other award shows again, pretty much when Britney Spears was on. I love Britney Spears. But lately now I watch it because my friend likes to watch it and we kind of more watch it just to look at like what people are wearing and everything. But I watched the Grammys specifically because I wanted to see my girl win something. But she didn't. Honestly, like for me, really like Norman fucking Rockwell. Like I was doing this with my friend, like we were saying, like, because she's a big Taylor Swift fan. So I was just like, okay, what if you can only listen to one Taylor Swift song for the rest of your life? No, one Taylor Swift album for the rest of your life. Which one would it be? I'm like, but you can't ask me that about Lana. And she was like, wait, that's not fair. But then I thought about it and I was like, honestly, no, it's an easy, even though I love her whole discography, Norman fucking Rockwell is so good. Like, I always go back to it. So, yeah. Oh, bye, Yunnan. Thank you for hanging out. No, rude people. I've been getting into Taylor Swift because I don't know with everything going on if we're still going to, but me and my friend are supposed to go see Taylor Swift in concert. later in the year. So I've been listening to more of her stuff. And I'm really liking it because it's just like, it's good pop music. Like, she writes real fucking good pop music. Like, whatever you feel about Taylor Swift, you got to give that to her. She writes fantastic pop music. I'm kind of like, I was obsessed with Getaway Car. Now I'm really into This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things and Out of the Woods. Oh, such a good song. It's funny because I've always been very much like, I don't like love songs, and now all I do is listening to Lana Del Rey and Taylor Swift, who pretty much just write love songs and sing love songs. Like, Aphrodite, is this your influence? Oh, you live in Tennessee? My friend was supposed to go, I don't know if they're still doing it. My friend was supposed to go to Nashville for a bachelorette party, and she was not happy about it. She's not the type to want to go to like bars and everything. Like, she's much more of like a homebody and like stay in and, you know, have it be in PJs and watch Marvel movies. Like, that's her. But then she was like, Taylor Swift has a house in Nashville. Maybe I'll meet her. So then she was all excited to go. All right. I don't know what else to talk about. I'm going to end up listening to Norman fucking Rockwell after this. She totally does. Yeah, I always end my prayers with, I blow kisses. Oh, yeah. Old Mariah stuff. Oh, that's good. I love all of like the divas of like the past. Like some Whitney, some Mariah, some Janet. No, I have a bunch of rock and metal music on my playlist for Aphrodite. She totally loves that stuff. I have this one song that's like it's a metal song, and it's called I Want to Fuck You to Death. One of Aphrodite's favorites, I can tell you that. Oh my god. Dylan! In This Moment is the best. I have so many songs on my Aphrodite playlist for In This Moment. Ah, yes. I love In This Moment. It's my favorite too. Oh, Maria is the best. Her voice. And it's great because I think I'm pretty sure she's a witch because I've been on her Instagram. It's very witchy, and lately her music, like her lyrics, are so witchy and witch themed and everything. So I'm like, yes. Maria is a goddess. Ugh. Zoe actually is asking a question that a legit question. So my opinion on matron and patron, the problem with it is there's so much misconceptions about what it is and what it isn't, and the idea that, you know, it's actually that people think that they have to have one or that everybody automatically has one or whatever. Like, I don't subscribe to it. It's not, I don't feel a connection to those kinds of terms. I know for some people, I think for me, what I think they mostly are is just like a title to give to a god to kind of define what your relationship with them is. That to say, a lot of it, I think, is some people being like, just want to be like, feel claimed by a god, or to, this isn't to say that they don't have a legit use and that people aren't using them in like real ways. It's more of like, I think they're very popular and I get questions about them a lot, and it makes me really think that it's a lot of it has to do with wanting that feeling of that closeness to a deity and feeling claimed by a deity. I think when a lot of people say, oh, some people say like, you know, this is my matron or my patron, I found out they're my matron or patron. So that's kind of the same idea as saying like, I've been claimed by them. But in ancient Greek terms, the idea of a matron or a patron, really patron can be used, it's gender neutral. Patron was kind of all about like what your profession was, what your role in your household and society was, you know, so it had a very different use than how a lot of people use it today. And I feel like I definitely vibe more with how the ancient Greeks used it. That seems more, I think, if I was to use the terms, how I would use it. Because I don't feel any need, because obviously if I had a patron, it would be Aphrodite. Because, you know, I'm devoted to her and only her, and she's the one that I have the closest relationship to. But I just never felt like I needed to use that term for her. But, you know, yeah, it's just not my vibe. But, and I don't have any problem with people using them, because I think that they have a legit place in like the relationship that people have with deities. But I think the problem is there's a lot of misconceptions about what they are and how they work. Well, what happened? Oh, so New York City's trying to be like Italy. They're clapping and cheering. They should be singing. Yeah, there's no such thing as a fake emo. And yes, you can make an MCR offering to Aphrodite. Abso-freaking-lutely. She'd love that. Oh, that's nice that they do it as a thank you to doctors, nurses, medical people. That's wonderful. Yeah, they need all of the praise and just all of the oh my God. I think it ultimately with it is just depends on how you feel. I think that's the thing. It's like if those terms mean something to you and it's like you feel that, then yeah, go with it. But I think it's just like a lot of people come, like I get so many people that come up to me, they're like, how can I find my matron or patron? Like as if it's something that is like a part of the checklist of things that you have to do, you know, that it's not, that it's something that everybody has and that's something that you're not legit if you don't have it, or that's just an automatic thing that comes, you know? We should all break out in song more often. I agree. I think it's also kind of like my relationship with Aphrodite too. I feel like is I kind of like to I always like to talk about it and share it because I feel like it shows how, you know, if anybody had known me when I was younger, you would have been like, why is it Aphrodite that you're the closest to and not Apollo? Like, why did you even start worshiping Aphrodite and not Apollo? Like, it just kind of, it's still strange to me when I think about it because, like I said, I had like nothing for Aphrodite, like nothing. And it just was like the second I saw her name in that book, it was just like a switch went off, and it was I couldn't get her out of my head. And then I started. It's actually funny. I have something right here. One of the candles I lit has actually one of the signs that I used to realize that it was Aphrodite that was indeed talking to me. I'd gotten, my grandma randomly gave me this really pretty seashell necklace. And at first, like, I thought, oh, this is cool because I was studying sea witchcraft. So I was like, oh, it's that. But then when I started realizing that Aphrodite was possibly reaching out to me, I kind of was like, oh shit, this is the most Aphrodite thing ever. Like, look at this. Tell me that's not the most Aphrodite fucking thing you've ever seen. And like my grandma randomly surprised it to me. Like she just was like, oh yeah, I thought of you, and gave it to me. And I was like, oh my God, that's Aphrodite. And then my friend also randomly got me a rose quartz necklace. So it was just like all these signs. And then eventually I remember I kept running away from it. I talk about it in my podcast, but you know, whatever. It's a live stream. I'm going to still talk about it because I love talking about how the beginning started, because I think it's a great story. But I was very much against it. Like I was fighting it constantly. I was like, no, it's not Aphrodite. It could never be no, I'm just, you know, I'm not pretty enough. I'm not one of those girls, you know, I'm not who Aphrodite would want, you know, who Aphrodite would want in her inner circle, who Aphrodite would reach out to. And so I was very against it. So I was constantly actually trying to find things that disproved what my gut was telling me, which was that it was Aphrodite. Like, because I was like, that's not, no. And I remember asking somebody to do like a reading for me, someone on Tumblr, like randomly, like do a reading for me, and like who's reaching out. And they said something like, oh, I'm getting a lot of feel of like a love goddess, you know, like love and like rose, like there. I was like, oh my God. Like, it was just so like blatant in my face. Like, it's Aphrodite. So yeah, it was just like, so it's always like, I always try to tell people to stay really open to what they're feeling and to what their instincts are telling them, you know? I finally kind of gave in enough to look her up. And the thing that sold me instantly was when I realized that she represented self-love. And when I realized that, it was literally in that moment, I just was like, that's it. That's it. Because I couldn't figure out why Aphrodite would be knocking on my door. You know, like what, I didn't understand it. And then I realized when it was self-love, I was like, that's it. Because I had just gotten out of my abusive relationship and definitely needed a lot of self-love and learning who I was as a individual instead of as part of this codependent, awful relationship. So it was like everything flooded in where I was, this is it. now I get it. And yeah, I mean, we've been together ever since. Yeah, exactly. Mamma Mia, exactly. I love my story too. That's like the one thing I'll actually be like bragging about. I'm like, I love my story. It's my favorite story to tell. Cause it's still so like wow to me how it all went down, that because it's not. And then on top of it, like Aphrodite just always surprises me and is always like taking me to places I never thought I would be, you know, like the idea that me and her would have this kind of really close, intense, intimate relationship. And then to also bring me where I am now. When I started, if you would have told me then, like, oh, Jesse, yeah, you're going to be doing live streams. People are going to really look up to you. They're going to be inspired by you. You know, you're going to be making a podcast. You're going to be trying to do this, you know, as a career. You're going to love it so much. You're going to have this amazing community that supports you and that you get to be a part of and help. And I would be like, what kind of bullshit are you trying to sell me? Because none of that is happening at all. Like, no. And even when I started my Tumblr, it wasn't with any thought of being like Tumblr famous or well known in the community. I just wanted, you know, a place to maybe meet other, you know, followers or devotees and to just be able to learn and share. And that's all I was looking for. And then it just turned into this. And that's because of Aphrodite. It's all Aphrodite. And it's like, that's why she means so much to me, is because like she's changed my life so profoundly that it's hard to even really describe how much my life has changed the moment she entered it. Like, I'm gonna start crying. Don't cry on the live stream, Jessica. You know, like, Juliet, that's actually kind of how a lot of my friendships are, like my good friendships. I always have where I can't remember really when the friendship started and when we became close. It just kind of happened. And I always see that as like, it really just shows how made for each other that you really are, that it's just kind of like, it happened so organically and so naturally. It was like, it really was meant to happen. So that, you know, you just, you know, you can't even remember a time when you guys really, it was either like you guys weren't together or, you know, you weren't, you know, worshiping her or knew her or whatever. And then it was, you're where you are now. Like, there is no in between. Aphrodite is really very much like, she's so wants to help people, and she's always, you know, reaching out to people because she wants to help them. That's always how I see it as. Like, I think that's why her and I like vibe so well together, is because I think, and part of probably why, you know, she's taken such a interest in pushing me to kind of, you know, be someone who goes and spreads a lot of like her energies and her love and, you know, help people and everything, is because like I have that thing in me too that's always just like, if somebody is in need, I want to help them. You know, like, I'm not, especially if I have the means to, like, you know, her being a goddess, and she can't sit by and watch people struggle so much, especially like with loving themselves, you know, and watch people have such a hard time accepting who they are in however capacity that is. And I think she just can't sit back, especially knowing that she can help them. And I think she is very active with reaching out to people because she wants to help them. And it's something I very much relate to because I'm the same way. Like I can't just turn a blind eye to somebody who needs help. Daily magical routine. Well, the big thing that I've been trying to do now is it's not as like amazing, it's not super magical, but I do think it's kind of like the foundation and the basis to a lot of magic is meditation. I've been doing that every single day now, and yoga, in order to help me kind of stay grounded and to help really kind of be more in touch with the energies around me, in order to just kind of like free myself from a lot of the gunk that holds me back from doing things, magical and all that. So that's been a big part of my routine, is doing meditation. I am trying to get into a habit of setting up wards and shields, and I want to do it like on a monthly thing. I think I kind of want to do that as a way to celebrate, like Nomenia is on the first day of the month, refresh my wards and everything. I also really want to start like doing more grounding and centering. But yeah, for right now, I've been focusing really on the meditation because I really think that's the key to so much for me, not just in my witchcraft, but also with my devotion, being able to connect better with the gods through meditation, and also just my overall health and well-being. I struggle with anxiety and depression, so I think having a meditation to go to when I need it will help a lot. So that's kind of like my big routine right now. Because I'm trying to also not overwhelm myself, because I have a habit of feeling like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then it becomes too much, and then I don't do anything. So I'm kind of focusing on let's establish like one habit. I also do tarot readings. I do daily draws every day. So that helps too. I think that's part of my magical routine. Oh, that's a good thing to know. It's the New Year's and the Greek New Year's and summer. I definitely recommend meditation. It's definitely something you have to practice every day, because it's gonna take a little bit to like get the hang of it, to get used to it. But it's helped me a lot. Like I've noticed, it's funny because I know it's not really, meditation isn't about fully clearing your mind, but it's definitely about learning to kind of, let thoughts go and not hold on to them and everything. But I've actually been finding that when I sit there and meditate, I've been coming up with a lot of ideas. It's actually a really good place for me to brainstorm. Yeah, I'm definitely empathic too, Guy. I've kind of accepted the fact that I'm very much empathic. So I've been trying to do, that's part of also why I want to start working on like doing protections and setting that up and learning to ground and everything, so that I can better protect myself from absorbing other people's emotions and energy, and also learning to like let them go if I ever absorb too much of it. If you're not following Ayla on Tumblr, then you're missing out. Oh yeah, I don't journal every day, but I do have a habit of journaling. I don't journal every day because I don't want it to be too much of a chore. And sometimes I really just don't have anything I want to talk about. But I've kind of developed a habit of journaling when I feel like I need to talk about something. And now now I'm doing devotional journaling to Aphrodite. So I have that going on for April that I'm kind of hoping maybe will go into be kind of turned into like a permanent routine thing that I do. I also do gratitude work. I forgot that. Let me wait. Where's my gratitude journal? It's so cute. You guys are going to love it. It's my gratitude journal. How cute. Yeah, I do that every day just to kind of stay, because I have a habit of staying in the negative, always thinking about, what I think is wrong with me, thinking about all the bad things that have happened, the negative things people have said about me, the embarrassing stuff that I've done throughout my entire life. Like everything is always the negative. So I decided to start doing gratitude work as kind of a way to combat that, to kind of start my day off with thinking about good things, like things I'm really happy about, things I'm proud of, things I'm grateful for. And then I say like what I'm grateful for, and then I tell myself like what I'm going to do today. So like one of the days I said, today I'm grateful for Aphrodite, and today I will not put too much pressure on myself. So I do stuff like that. Yeah, I have that problem too. I keep wanting to journal my dreams also, but I tend to forget them. Or I just am like, they're weird. Or they're sex dreams. I will say it. I tend to have sex dreams. Again, another influence of Aphrodite. I have a bunch of questions. Oh, cool. Yay, questions. Devotional journaling is kind of whatever you want it to be. Sometimes it's people just kind of recording information that they find about either a god or all the gods. Some people have like one book for all the gods. Some people have like, I have my mind book just for Aphrodite. I talked about it earlier in the live stream. But I kind of do everything about Aphrodite in here. Like, it's where I put all the research that I found about her. It's where I'll put like tarot readings I did with her. It's where some people also will write journal entries, but to the god. I do that, but I do that in my regular journal. I start off the entry with like, dear my beloved goddess, Aphrodite. So I talk to her in my journal, in my regular journal. But this one is all just mainly about like information about her. You can also like record your thoughts about what you found, how you feel about it, the relationship you have with a god, and things like that. To take other people's mindsets. I feel like it's possible. Well, because a lot of people do, some people do like kind of take on people's behaviors. That's a thing that a lot of people kind of sometimes either do knowingly or subconsciously. They actually will start talking like people that they're around a lot, or, behaving like them. Yeah, people have done that. That's something that people actually do. So yeah, I could definitely see. It might not even necessarily be because of, being an empath. It could just be that's just what sometimes it is, being humans are interacting with other humans. examples of the journal. I have mine right here. Let's see. Like I have like the all about Aphrodite section. And then like this page right here was just me writing about a reading I did with her. And then I have the epithets. And as you can see, I made a mistake and crossed it out because I don't fucking care. You can know that my devotional journal is full of mistakes, so maybe it'll make you feel better about making mistakes in your own. I also have the prayer that I read today. The stuff's falling out. So, yeah. That's what I got going on. I just started this one, so that's why there's not a lot, but... And it's also why I'm planning on working on it every single day, because I want to actually start using it and filling it up. Does it? Oh, that's like the best compliment ever. It looks like the burn book from Mean Girls. I love Mean Girls. Oh, Dylan, I just saw what you were saying about meditating. Yeah, I would just say exactly. You do know what not to do, and there's so many different ways to meditate. Some things are like trial and error and things, and you start out small. Like start out doing like 5 minutes or whatever, and if something doesn't feel right, then you can always adjust it. And like there's so many different techniques out there too. So if like a certain technique isn't vibing with you, you could try a different one. Bye, Juliet. Heart you so much. We're always talking about Queen Del Rey. I mean, we're not specifically right now, but oh yeah, like every night's a spa night for me right now. Oh, Belle, I've been using the Belle was wonderful and got me a the facial rollers, the rose quartz one, and also a rose quartz eye mask. I love them. I use them like every day. I also got a new mask. I got from pharmacy, the honey hydrating mask. Oh my god, it's so good. I just used that yesterday. So good. Yeah. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of self care lately. Fuck yeah. Listen, rose quartz facial rollers they don't care about gender. Get your self-care on. Listen, I am very set on both Aphrodite and Aries being the gods of self-care. Self-love and self-care. That's where I stand on that. Oh, I love everything rose quartz. Like, all of my stuff is rose quartz. I have rose quartz all over my altar. Yeah, I have a rose quartz necklace. I have a rose quartz bracelet. The Aphrodite prayer beads that I got, rose quartz. I love rose quartz. If it has rose quartz in it, or if it is a rose quartz, like I'm like, okay, I'm sold. I'm gonna buy it. It is. It really is. the face mask is so nice too, because it's like, because it's made of stones, it gets cold. So it's like just even like without having to put it in like the fridge, it just naturally will be cold. So then sticking it on your face, it feels so nice. And I just imagine just like all the energies of like rose quartz, all the love and everything just seeping into my face. Aphrodite and Aries are the perfect parents. They are wonderful. Oh, speaking of them being the perfect parents, because it made me think of Eros, I have to share. Me and Ayla were talking on April 1st, which I completely forgot it was April Fool's Day. I think because a lot of people didn't really make it a big deal considering everything going on in the world. And also I was too excited about it being the start of Aphrodite April. So I didn't even think of it being April Fool's Day. And like Ayla was talking about it being, you know, that's Eros Day, you know, because it's all like the mischief and everything, and it's also Aphrodite April, so it's like that's his day. I was like, oh, that's so good, it's so true. And we were talking about like Hermes and Eros. I'm like, Hermes and Eros are just, they have their own like reality TV show, just like them, basically like Punked, just them playing pranks on people. Oh, Aphrodite and Aries adopted Sky. I gotta meet Sky. Sky seems like the coolest person in the world. Yeah, it's Punked. They have like, that's like their show. It's like Punked. They just play pranks, mostly on Apollo though. Apparently, it's mostly on Apollo. Well, I mean, Ayla, you would say Sky's amazing. You have to say Sky's amazing. Sky is the coolest person in the whole wide world. Sky is Apollo's favorite person. Oh, I like that. Poseidon and Gaia are your parental figures. I like that. I consider my parents Hera and Zeus. They're my divine parents. Oh, thank you, Juan. I'm glad you liked it. I liked telling that. I kind of want to do more where I kind of like instead of fully like it being an informative, like explaining, like maybe do also ones where it's like just me reciting the myths, but like in my own Jessie way. Yeah, that one was fun. The Eros and Psyche myth is one of my favorites. It's like one of the only ones that we have that's like an actual like a real love story and actually kind of has a happy ending. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I would love to do that. Cause that was a lot of fun to do. And a lot of people did seem to enjoy it. A lot of people were like, it was so funny. I'm like, okay. That's what I was aiming for. To tell the story, but to also be humorous about it. Because mythology is kind of hilarious when you really break it down. You're like, this is also ridiculous. He is Big Papa. I love Big Papa. He's just a big dad. It's just what Zeus is. He's a big dad that just is like all dad energy, that just wants to protect his babies. I'm gonna protect everybody. I'm here. Give me a hug, and I'm gonna tell really bad dad jokes. You've got the big dad energy. That's Sky Dad. Zeus has made me happy now when it rains. Because I'm like, oh, it's Big Papa. Speaking of rain, I have a bowl outside that I have to get. I don't know if you guys saw my post on Tumblr, but last night it was raining, and I literally was just sitting right here thinking, wow, it's really coming down hard, huh? And I was just sitting there, and then all of a sudden my brain just went, yeah, but it's April. So that's not just rain, that's Aphrodite rain. And I immediately was like, oh my God, I gotta get some. So I like got up and just like threw a bowl outside. And then I went to get it this morning, but there wasn't a lot in it, but it was still raining. So I was like, you know what? I'll just leave it out there till like whenever at night. I'm trying to actually, oh, that's another thing I could talk about. I knew there was other things. I always like to collect the moon water during this month, considering it's got whatever energy, you know, the moon by itself, but then also like the sign that it's in, but also because it's April, it's Aphrodite energy. So I always like to specifically collect the full moon and the new moon water. Well, not really collect, you just, you know, put it out there. So, but whatever. Make full moon and new moon water, because I like to use those specifically because it's, you know, Aphrodite. So just a reminder, if that's what you want to do, you could do that. The full moon is the 7th, and I believe the new moon's the 22nd. Yeah, I honestly never thought about collecting. This is the first time I ever thought about it. I just literally was sitting here, and my brain was just like, this is Aphrodite rain. I kind of want it to storm, because I'm like, fuck yeah, oh my God, Aphrodite storm water, that'd be the best. Could probably make Aphrodite war water from the rainwater, maybe. Yeah, it's rained so much here. Like it got to the point where it was like most of our weeks were just rain. And I felt bad because I know like the West Coast and other places were like dealing with like all like dry weather to the point of being on fire, and I'm like, where I'm sitting in New York like drowning in all the water that we're getting, like, oh, can you guys move? Like, can you go that way? Zeus, send the rain cloud somewhere else. Kill them with kindness. Yeah, well, on the 7th, you can make a full moon, Aphrodite full moon water. I'll have, like, posts about it. I always make posts about, the Aphrodite full moon and the new moon and kind of, like, what they are good for and everything. So, you look out for that. I'll have it on. And I'll probably talk about it on the live streams. Yes! Oh, I don't know. I have that song stuck in my head. Ugh. I'm going to end up listening to Lana Del Rey after this, that's for sure. I really don't listen to anything else. I mean, sometimes I do. For the most part, like in the mornings, that's what my alarm is either Mariner's Apartment Complex or Venice Bitch. And I literally, when I'm doing my tarot, my daily draws, and I'm journaling about it, I have Lana Del Rey playing. I have Lana Del Rey on like shuffle and just playing that. Venice Bitch is so good. Oh, that's such a good song. I said it already, but I'll say it again. It's such a good song. I say that about everyone. I was asking my friend what her favorite Lana Del Rey songs are, and she was listing them, and everyone I was just like, oh, I love that song. It says like that's the best song. And she's like, you keep saying that for everyone. I'm like, yeah, because it's Lana Del Rey, and they're all amazing. Yes. Ugh. Most of I like so many of Lana's songs just actually make me not only think of Aphrodite, but like devotion in general. So like I just like to play her music because it connects me so much to how I feel about Aphrodite and how I feel as a worshiper and a devotee. But Lana is like a perfect picture to have on a goddess altar. She is a goddess. I love her. And can you believe this? And it's very similar to my relationship with Aphrodite in that I started out like being like meh, like not caring, and now all of a sudden I'm like, oh my god, I love her so much. I don't know if being connected to a deity that creates storms makes you have the ability to manipulate rainstorms. Because a lot of witches, there are weather witches who do spells and everything to manipulate the weather. So I don't know if maybe, I mean, because it might, if that is a thing, then working with a deity that does already control storms. Yeah, if you've practiced storm magic, then yeah, definitely I do think working with a deity who influences and creates storms, absolutely, I think can help with that because it's their realm, you know? That's fine. You can ask whatever you want. Hey, Zeus, please stop the rain. I love you. Yeah, pretty much. I like to hold Moo up to the window or, to the door when it's raining and be like, say hi to Big Papa. That's amazing. I think so. Yeah, someone asked this, had this ask on Tumblr recently about hero worship, but not not one of the Greek heroes and everything. Yeah, I don't see a problem with it, honestly, because I think, a lot of people do that anyway. A lot of people do like pop culture, paganism, and people kind of also worship like the spirits of their heroes and everything. I don't think there's a problem. Like I don't necessarily worship people, my heroes, but I definitely have space for them on my altar. Like if you ever see my altar, I have little dolls of Marilyn Monroe and Frida Kahlo, and I also have a Freddie Mercury candle that I have on there. I usually leave on there during June for Pride. I also am my vision board that's above my above my altar. I have like Carrie Fisher, Elle Woods, more Marilyn Monroe, and Frida Kahlo because I love them so much. And yeah, so I don't see a problem with it. I think it's just maybe like having a clear distinction. I feel like the only thing would be maybe having a clear distinction that while you're worshiping you're kind of like giving honors to them or whatever, that there is a separation between them and the gods. You know what I mean? Like they're not on the same level. Because I know for me, with even the hero cult, I don't necessarily have them on the same level. Like I always see the heroes as more of like an in-between. Like even as deified, they're still like an in-between between like mortals and then gods, and then you have the heroes and the mythical figures all kind of in that area where I think you can worship, but I feel like it's probably safe to have a bit of a, like, make sure there's a distinction. So I know that would be the only thing that like the gods might get offended by, is feeling like people who aren't on the same level as them are put on the same level as them. But at the same time, you know, it's always good to ask them yourselves, because I can't speak for them. I know, it's so hard. Like, how could you not worship Frida Kahlo? She's the best. Yeah, I love Elle Woods. Elle Woods is always just like I have her on my vision board as like a reminder of just kind of like what, you know, you can do anything you want but still be who you are, and also like what hard work and dedication can get you. Oh, Vincent Van Gogh's great. Oh, I also have Walt Whitman. I sometimes have Walt Whitman on my altar because he's my favorite poet. I love him so much. I mean, if you feel like Apollo brought them to you in your life, then I know someone also mentioned like the idea of like ancestor worship is a thing too, and like heroes can kind of fall into that category as well, even like they don't necessarily have to be like related to us to be seen as like ancestors and everything, and like, that concept. And I'm like, that's true, you know, because ancestor worship is something that's a thing and very important in many cultures and all that. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it, especially if you feel like Apollo not only supports it, but he kind of is the one that brought them. Then, I mean, I feel like then there's no problem. I really like storms like when I'm home. I love storms when I'm home and it's at night and you're like getting ready to go to sleep. I don't know. They're very calming to me then. I don't like them when I'm out in them. That I don't like. I haven't seen Legally Blonde the musical. I always wanted to. I haven't seen a lot of musicals, unfortunately, it's really sad considering, you know, I live so close to the city, but it's expensive, man. Now, because not only is this like the tickets are expensive, but like getting there, like the train, and then you got to eat, you know, and depending, you're either walking or you're taking the subway. Like it's a whole thing. Ugh, Juan, you just described my very favorite, like the best thing. A nice storm, a good book, and Lana playing in the background. Ugh, it's gorgeous. Ugh. I just like to sit and listen to it. I just love the sound of the rain just like pitter-pattering on the windowsill or the roof. I just love that, especially because I live like in upstairs, so I hear it on the roof. Oh, the smell of rain's great. And especially like the aftermath of it, how everything smells when it's like right after a rainstorm. Oh, so good. Although my favorite smell is the beach. I love the beach and the ocean water. Oh. All right, well, I don't know what else to talk about. Oh, that's cool. You made up your own rain dance. I love that. Yeah, I used to practice witchcraft before I was a witch too. Like looking back on things, I'm like, I was doing, like, I've been a witch my whole life and didn't even realize it. It is always, it's mind-boggling to me that so many people don't live near beaches, because I am literally surrounded by beaches. When somebody asks, you know, when someone says, "Oh, I'm going to the beach," the question is, well, which one? Because there's that many beaches where I live. That's all in like driving distance. You know, it's like, so it's so weird for me that people like don't have that, you know? I actually have seawater from when I last went there. I'm like determined to go so much. Well, now I don't know. Who knows what the hell's going to happen with everything going on, but I want to like go to the beach a lot more. Oh, you live in upstate New York. I live on Long Island, so yeah, upstate. I've been up to upstate New York. Yeah, it is just woods. Yeah, I live on a fish-shaped island that is surrounded by beaches. I decided, me and my friend were actually having a conversation because we had wanted to move to the city, and even before everything that happened, I was already thinking how I don't think I want to live in the city anymore. I think I'd rather live by the water. And then recently she was talking how she doesn't think she wants to live in the city anymore either, because especially with everything going on and everything, she's kind of like, she's a little nervous about it. She's like, I think I'd rather just stay on Long Island, get a house, you know. Well, she was talking about how we could be like, I don't know if you guys ever seen the show Grace and Frankie, but be like Grace and Frankie, live in a beach house in California, make dildos. I was like, now that's a great plan. Let's do that. Like, the thing is, like, I love New York City so much, I do, but yeah, it's definitely, I'm realizing I love nature. Like, that's where I belong, is close to nature. I'm really realizing that as much as, because I think a lot of it too is I've had such a fear of driving my whole life that the city just seemed so just an ultimate dream, because I could just walk anywhere or take, public transportation and not have to worry about driving. Where Long Island, it's like everybody loves their cars, everyone lives in their cars, it's all about cars, because in order to get anywhere you have to drive. It's a whole different experience. And so for me, it was very much like the city seemed like the best place for me to thrive. But now I've actually, because of Hermes, have been so much better with driving. I'm so much more comfortable with it. I'm actually like want to do more. Like, so it's kind of like, now that the fear has gone away, I'm starting to realize that I would probably be better off living closer, like as close to the ocean as I could get. that's really what I want, is to be able to just, I'd rather, instead of walk everywhere in the city, I'd rather be able to walk to the ocean. Have it basically in my backyard. Like, that's what I'd rather have. Oh, the percentage of witches wanting to live in a cottage and afford probably like 99%. Yeah, the Venice Beach. Yep. Beach, make dildos. It's the dream, man. Live by the beach and make dildos. Like, come on. I used to say that if I didn't live in New York, I'd probably live in California. Which I always thought was so funny because Ayla is from California and moved to New York. I always thought that was funny. But yeah, that's like horses and land, horses, and bourbon. I like the bourbon. I like no, horses kind of freak me out. I don't mind horses; they kind of freak me out. Yeah, like all my friends, we keep talking. Like my witchy friends, we joke about how we're just gonna get, when we get older, we're just gonna become the ants from Practical Magic and like live in a house together and everything and just do witchy stuff all the time. I'm like, that is the dream. And honestly, like I kind of want and it's funny, I never really wanted a house. I always wanted an apartment, and now I want a house because I want to do more like homesteading and stuff. I would love to have like a nice big backyard and like be able to like raise chickens. I would love that. Like to have like animals, you know, like maybe like a pig. Oh, I love pigs so much. Little snorts that they do in their cute little noses. Like I would love that, you know, and be able to have like my own little garden that, you know, I could get food from. Like I'm kind of really into that now, and, you know, doing more things on my own, and again, just being more close to nature, working with nature, and kind of getting back to the basics of that. Oh, New Orleans. That, I always said that's the only place, nothing against anybody who lives in the South, but I am a northerner, so, you know, but the only place I'd ever live in the South is New Orleans. That is, there really needs to be like more, there needs to be like more representation of that in, I feel like, the witch community. And even in like I was talking about that with my friend, how that like New Orleans has so much like culture, so much history, so much magic in it, but it's like it gets so watered down, especially in like all the fiction and all that. I'm like, I want to know more about that. I want to feel that kind of energy, because it just looks like New Orleans just looks so alive. You know, like even through like pictures and videos, you could just feel the energy just seeping right through. Yeah, that is I went to Salem, and my goal now is I really want to go to New Orleans, because I feel like New Orleans will be better than Salem, because Salem is witchy because of something that wasn't like, because of the witch trials, but they really weren't witches, you know, while New Orleans has a true history of magic, you know, like it is seeped in all of it. So I'm like, that's the place I feel like you'd want to go to really feel that. Yeah, exactly. As I feel like it, I just feel like you just feel it through the damn screen that like, this is this is the place to be if you want to feel true, pure, authentic magic. Yeah, that's another thing that my friend said, and it made a lot of sense to me, where we were talking about like living in New York, and she's like, I feel like I'll never be able to truly afford it because like at all the work I'd be doing I wouldn't even be able to enjoy being in New York because I'll just be working in order to support living in this tiny apartment in New York City and never actually going out and being able to experience living in New York City. And I'm like, that's true. It's probably just better to, you know, stay where we are and just travel into the city whenever we feel like it. Although honestly, living on Long Island is not any cheaper. It's not any cheaper. So I don't even know how we're going to manage that one. And I really don't want to leave New York, but who knows? We'll see. I got to trust that Aphrodite she's going to guide me to where it is that I'm going to be. I love those tiny houses. They are so cute. But I don't like I have so much stuff. That'd be my problem. I need to get over my shopping addiction. Well, I have to go. I can't go this year. I'm supposed to go to Salem again this year because the Taylor Swift concert is in Massachusetts. So we decided, hey, we're going to be in Massachusetts. Might as well, because Taylor Swift wasn't wasn't coming to New York. So that was like, so we decided to go to Massachusetts because then we can go and hang out in Boston and Salem again. All right. I think we're good, right? We don't really have anything else to talk about. So I guess I should talk about the Discord. If you don't already know, I have a Discord. We operate under Fight Club rules, so we don't talk about it. You know, first rule of Fight Club: don't talk about Fight Club. So that's why I haven't mentioned it anywhere else. I only mention it on my live streams at the end. If you want to join, all you have to do is direct message me on either Tumblr, social media, Tumblr, Instagram, or Twitter. And yeah, just message me on there. Oh, don't! I'm gonna get distracted by Lana Del Rey lyrics. Yeah, so message me and I'll definitely send you the link. In case you don't know, I'm Pastel Priestess, the Pastel Priestess on Tumblr and Instagram, and Tea with the Gods on Twitter. So yeah, you can message me there. I'm trying to start actually a bit of like a book club thing over there where we're gonna start with the Iliad. I have to kind of still work things out about it, but so if that was interest to you, definitely join. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. Hey kids, spelling. They took that out. When I see I tend to see her in many different ways, Aphrodite in many different ways. I don't really see her as just one, because she represents like all of beauty. So I see her in like many different in ways. Actually, the time that I know I physically saw her, because I usually don't like see the gods, like they don't appear to me visually. I feel them more and just kind of interpret how I see them in my head. But the only time I actually saw her, she was in my dream, and she was constantly changing, like as she spoke to me. Like she never stayed in one form. She was always like, everything was changing, like her body shape, her face, her hair color, her skin color, like everything was changing to kind of represent this idea that she's everything and all of us, and she's, you know, the representation of all the beauty that exists in this world. So that's how I see her. Okay. And with that said, yeah, so this is going to be a thing for all of April. Every Friday at 4, we'll be doing this, and I'm going to try and get the first podcast updated next week and have it up before Friday so that you guys can listen to it, and then we can talk about it and other things about Aphrodite. I'm also, my goal for this month, I forgot to mention this, my goal for this month is to finally get a website up and going, because I really want to place, aside from Tumblr, to blog, and to be able to put all the updates and everything like in one place instead of having to like constantly spread it all over social media and everything. I just want to be able to have one place where all of like my blog posts especially can all be, and people can find the information a lot quicker and a lot sooner without having to dig through like all the reblogs and deal with Tumblr's stupid fucking search functions. So that's like, I have that. I'm like, I'm finally doing that, because I really want a place, because I've been having a lot of things I've been wanting to write about and blog about. And I feel like if I had a nice dedicated space for it, that I actually would do it more. Might do it on like a regular basis. So yeah. I think that's it. Also remember, I'm going to be on Courtney's live stream series that she's doing. I linked it in the live chat if you weren't there. I linked it in the live chat, but if not, it's also, I reblogged it on Tumblr. It's on Tumblr. She's doing a live series for Aphrodite for the month of April, and I'm going next Saturday. Me and her are going to be doing a talk over on her Discord if you want to check that out. Yes. But yeah, message me if you have any questions or whatever, you know. Talk to me. Message me if you want to join the Discord server. And I think that's it. Yep. Okay. Take care of yourselves and those around you. And I love you all so much. Thank you for supporting me and showering me with love all the time. It really does mean like the absolute world to me. It makes a huge difference. I just want you to know that. And I'm always here for you if you ever need a friend or someone to talk to. You know, I really do truly care about each and every one of you. So I really hope you all stay well and safe. Many blessings. Happy Aphrodite April. I hope it's good to you. All right, gonna head out. Love you guys. Bye.